Yo, 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 what's going on, Panther Nation? It's your man, C. Dougie, back with another Blitz Talk. We are here on another Thursday night with a special guest. Joining us tonight, we're going to talk about the draft strategy kind of sort of being unlocked. I think a lot of people are starting to figure out what type of picks are we looking at. We are going to get into it. We're going to talk about what position groups are being targeted most with our top 30 visits and our local visits as well. Then we're going to talk about the top 30 visits. We're going to talk about which ones do we like, which ones possibly can be Panthers when it comes to our picks whenever they're 1 through 7 rounds. Then we're going to end it off with a mock draft, but we're also going to talk about our quarterback here and Bryce Young, man. So definitely pull up, definitely grab your favorite snack, kick your feet up. We got a good show tonight, man. For our guest tonight, man, you might have seen me on his platform. Had a great time. We did a mock draft. Me and him been talking behind the scenes. I'm glad to see he's in a good bill of health now, man. That's the reason we had to reschedule. But let me go ahead and bring up the host of One Carolina, no other than Mr. John. Go ahead and tell the people what's up, John.
What's happening, man? Appreciate you having me, bro.
Tonight, man, how you feeling tonight? How you feeling tonight?
Man, look, blessed. I was glad when they said unto me, let us come into the house of the Lord, bro. I'm telling you, man, like, so, you talked about it. You said the last time we were supposed to rock, man, like, man, I just got sick all of a sudden, ended up in the hospital for like 5 days with pneumonia. So I'm like, man, it's a blessing just to be out here, heart pumping and keeping on pounding. So
Facts, man. So that's good, man. We already got some people in the chat, man. Let's go ahead and tell the chat what's going on, but we're gonna get into it, man, because I ain't gonna waste nobody's time, but it's need to be talked about. Again, we do this every Thursday, man. So if you are new to the channel, definitely go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, check out One Carolina over there with John. Has great content as well, man. So Eternal dropped our first comment. Trade the 8 to the Steelers. Go get TJ Watt and get Nick Emery War. I think he's talking about Matthew Golden or Cal Williams. Hey, we're gonna get into it, man. We're gonna talk about trade options. What's going on, Big Onk? Yo, good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great Thursday. And he also went ahead and dropped our first super chat of the night saying, let's get the show started off right. Appreciate it, Big Onk. Nice. Panther Boy said, what's up, Dougie? What's going on, man? Mr. Hunky Dory. Tech, not that special type we can get in every draft in the top 32. 8th pick better be a rookie or the year contender in position within top 5. Appreciate that, Mr. Hunky Dory. Alex, I ain't gonna call you by your channel name. What's going on, Alex? Oh, baby, elite duo right there, man. Appreciate you pulling up, Alex.
Yeah, that's my man.
Yes, sir, man. So before we get into it, we're gonna go ahead and always shout out our sponsor here at What's Up, Doug, and that is SeatGeek. We'll go ahead and take this comment off as well so we can pull the banner up. Again, if you are new, SeatGeek is the sponsor here at What's Up, Doug. If you have any ticket from a concert, football, basketball, baseball, college, SeatGeek is the place to get your tickets. If you're a first-time user, go ahead and use that code What's Up, Doug. We have it in the description of this live as well. But you'll get $20 off your first ticket purchase as well when you use the code What's Up, Doug with first-time users at SeatGeek. So shout out to our sponsor with SeatGeek over here at What's Up, Doug. So got all that out. Also, I cannot forget this. Let me go ahead and pull up our member slide. Shout out to all our members over here at What's Up, Doug as well, man. Members, we have some exclusive content for you next week. We'll talk about it in the show, but I'll go ahead and say if you don't make it all the way, we will have a player that a NFL draftee doing an interview for you guys next week. Then we'll have a members giveaway on next Thursday. Then we have Jared Feinberg from Twitter and also Panthers Wire joining us next Thursday. Then we also have an interview with a Charlotte Observer next week as well. All going to be exclusive for our members only. So if you don't have a membership, you might want to grab one tonight because we're going to go ahead and cut that off and know exactly who's in the members. So they're just not trying to get that first week, that 1 week of access, man. So if you don't have a membership up here, What's Up, Doug, you might want to go ahead and grab one tonight or over the weekend before all that exclusive content drops for you next week, man. What you got, John? You had something?
Nah, man. I'm proud of what you're doing, man. I see the membership, man. You got these These super chats popping, man. I need to get a little consultation, man.
Hey, Roadmaster, what's going on, man? Then we got Eternal said trade 8 for TJ Watt and get free safety or Matthew Golden. Okay, bet. How do you become a member? I'll drop it in the chat for you, Alex, once we start talking. Then Mr. Honky Dory said, only thing Ted worries me about Watt is he is 30 and he can get 3. Okay, so you're saying if we trade back in Ted, I understand with the age difference. So
the age difference between who?
So I think, let me read this again. The only thing Ted worries me about Watt is that he is 30 and we can get 3 to 4 years out of him. So the age, that's what I'm saying, age with TJ Watt, if we traded to get TJ Watt with the Steelers, with that whole scenario on Twitter, that if we trade back with the Steelers so they can go get Shador Sanders.
Oh, okay. Wow, I missed that. So
yeah,
there's a trade scenario out there where we end up with TJ Watt and they get the 8th pick and we move down to what, 21 is where they are?
Yeah, 21. So it's more of either trading draft picks, and then the new thing that I see now is asking for TJ Watt to be in that trade package.
That's fascinating.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, because again, I just want picks. I don't want a player. I'd rather just have the picks. And then, we get our own homegrown talent here. So,
all right. Hey, guys, you go ahead and do what you got, because we about to get into it. Because we are first pushback. Go ahead.
All right, here. Let me get. So, Alex, there is the for the members. You just click that, and then you should be able to get a membership if you can, man. Monet, let me see what you wrote right here, my guy. You said, C-Doug, I just finished cutting grass. I'm tired, but I'm here. Oh, it's going to be a good one, man. So kick those feet up. Go get your cold drink. Go get you some sweet tea. And we're going to enjoy tonight, man.
Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
I can.
Ask Monet if he cut that grass in his profile picture, because if he did, boy, it took him all day.
Oh man, so let's go ahead and get into this deck, man. You guys already know over here what's up, Dub. We do a great deck, a great presentation for you guys. So right here, we're gonna break it down. Top 30 visits and local visits. Right now, combined, we have over 31 visitors that I've counted that I think are either going to be drafted, not undrafted. And we broke it down right here. So 48% of our visits have been either defensive ends and D linemen. Also includes your outside linebackers that can stand up and put their hand in the dirt, and regular DNs. The next percentage is 19 with running backs and wide receivers combined. With visits, we've had 19% of those be wide receivers and running backs. 13% is your DBs, and that's corners and safeties. 10% has only been inside linebackers, and another 10% is your offensive tackles, tight ends. So, John, with that, how do you feel? Is the hand being shown? Basically, are they showing their hand too much with what they're possibly going to do, with over 48% being our local visits / top 30 visits?
I don't think they are. And the reason why I don't think they are, man, is because I think, like typically like a year like this, man, with I'll use a NCAA reference, right? This was one of those years where there were a few surprises, but it was mostly chalk, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have the worst defense in league history, or one of them anyway, points and, yards or whatever. Obviously we're number one, right? But you can't have that and not expect that team to come out aggressively looking for players that will change that narrative. You know what I'm saying? And not just change that narrative, but change that fact, right? Because it's a fact that we had that bad of a defense. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, especially in a draft like this that is so heavy in specific needs that we have. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a super heavy. Hey, look, I've heard people say this. Doug, in recent memory, I can't remember a draft that had this many edge / defensive tackle prospects. Facts. Some of these guys that'll land in like the second or third round. Like, there was a time, I want to say maybe let's rewind back about 2 years ago. JT Tuimalau looked like he was going to be potentially the first overall pick. I remember him having like a JJ Watt kind of game in college, right? Where he had like a interception, a touchdown, like a bunch of sacks. And then like he sort of like, went back a little bit, had a little bit of a digression, if you will. Now, walking off a champion, they won a title this year. But a guy like him, like he'll go possibly, mid-second, late-second, maybe even third, just because how deep this draft is. When in like other years, he might be a late fringe first rounder. Or someone like Donovan Ezeraku, for example. Like he's probably going to fall just because of height and size and, measurables. But like, man, this dude in last year's draft, in my opinion, like, would you see him being drafted in a similar situation like Jared Verse? Because I can see him potentially, after having a year like this year, being drafted over Verse, right? If we just talking like production, just straight production, right?
Yeah.
So like, they're showing their hand because there's just a wealth of opportunity here. Like you can just go in so many different directions and pick 8, right? So yeah, it makes sense that they would they would have more players, keyed in that direction than others.
Hold on real quick. We got to play our member song over here, man. We appreciate Alex. Go ahead and grab that membership.
Dude, with the hot plate.
Only 99 cents. So we appreciate Alex. Go ahead and grab that membership over here, man.
Doug cooking up. Doug cooking up. Doug. What's up?
So we appreciate Alex dropping. Go ahead and get in that membership again. If you want to grab a membership, it is in the chat. Again, it's only 99 cents. Content is coming next week. That's all I'm going to say. We already talked about in the beginning. Content is coming next week. We also had a super chat from King Damo. He said, we need Tyler because he will be the best player at 8. I think he's talking about Tyler Warren. And again, for me, and this is a key point, King Damo, if he did not get a top 30 visit, he's probably not going to be a Panther. Again, I will say that again. If he did not get a top 30 visit, he probably would not be a Carolina Panther. Doug, why do you say that? 6 out of the 7 prospects that we got, 4, I think it was either 3 or 4, we met at the Senior Bowl, met at the Combine, but then we brought them in-house as well for top 30 visits. Xavier Legette is one. Jonathan Brooks is the other. JT Sanders is the other. Trevin Wallace we brought in. That's 4 out of your 7 draft picks. So again, if he didn't come in, it's not guaranteed that he's actually going to be a Carolina Panther. I mean, I understand if that's what you want, but think about it. Why would we bring in the project of a tight end that we just got, the young man out of Coastal Carolina? John just did a video on him as well. Again, there's no reach for it. You have 3 tight ends on the roster right now. And then, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to talk about a tight end that just got a top 30 visit the other day out of Oregon.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, for me, I'm looking at it more of, do we actually need Eternal says we're not drafting the tight end. I think we will, but it will not be at number 8.
So, the Tyler Warren thing is fascinating because I ain't going to lie. At one point, it really wasn't until, and look, everybody got to have their own opinions. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys in college, they show traits of what they can potentially be at the next level. Like some of these guys, like we all remember the Trent Richardsons of the world. There was a receiver, many years back. I think his name was Charlie Rogers. He's passed on now, God rest his soul, because he had, some problems outside of just the field. But he got drafted like super high to Detroit and just flamed out, right? And he looked like he was a guy that would come into the, league and, tear it up. Or someone like my brother played with a guy at Troy named Leotis McKelvin, right? He was drafted I think he's like the highest drafted Troy player ever. And that's including guys like OC and DeMarcus Ware. And he was drafted like 7th overall. And I think he might have lasted like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this was before they stopped giving the bag to rookies. You know what I'm saying? So he got paid. And his contract was pretty solid, for where he got drafted. But you are going to draft these guys off of, measurables, combine numbers, tape and stuff like that. But the thing that started like kind of turning me away from Tyler Warren was when I started seeing like manufactured touches, right? What you can't, like, in my opinion, I'm no expert, but what you can't project is like when we stop asking you to do that, when we stop creating manufactured touches for you and we ask you to just, run a slant, whatever routes that you would want to, or block schemes or whatever like that. Like, is he the kind of guy that can pick that stuff up, and then we see that same type of production or better when he gets to the next level? Or is there going to be like a steep learning curve, right? Because Greg had that same thing in Chicago, man. Like Greg, for what he did in Carolina, the one thing that gets discounted, and I preach this so much on my channel, Doug, is like, man, at some point, I do think that you have to go after players that are super talented, no doubt. But at some point, you do have to develop your roster. Like, and we've seen so many examples of players that have gone from Carolina to other places that developed with us, and then the fruit of their labor actually bloomed when they went somewhere else. Well, we got that with Greg when he came here. So we got to be able to give it. So the real question is like, if you really want Tyler Warren and there's a learning curve, are you willing to give it time? That's the question for those who would like to see him in a Panthers jersey.
And we can answer that question, no. But before I say this, shout out to Carolina's Armchair GM CJ, and shout out to Twan Don joining us tonight, man. Appreciate you fellas joining us in the chat, man. To any other Panther content creator you are watching, definitely drop a comment. We'll definitely shout you out. We appreciate you guys pulling up and enjoying us tonight, man.
Hey, Twan, that's my man. I ain't talked to Twan in a minute. Like, we got a link, Twan. It's been too long, bro. Like, I know you got your thing going on, man. Me and Twan used to either go back and forth with each other or have some great conversations. It's done been some amazing content, but that's my man. Shout out to Twan.
All right, real quick. Chris Dillard said, I saw people saying they think we are bringing in a lot of late first round picks. So that means that he's talking about us doing a trade back. Hey, like I said, we're going to talk about it a little bit as well once we talk about these top 30 visits and talk about rumors and rumblings that we're hearing throughout the whole NFL. Alex said, bingo, John. Chris Dillard then said again, people saying we are meeting with players that could be later picks hinting at a trade back. Hey, we trying to get at it. We're trying to tell y'all. Then I asked CJ to reference, and I'm going to check this. He said we got Sanders, Granger, Matthews, and James. And I think, like I said, 3 of those names are on future contracts. I'm talking about actually on contracts, right? That I know will be making that 53-man roster. We have 3 tight ends on this roster. I understand. I probably should have been more clear with that. But 5 on the roster, 2 of those are not making it to the practice squad or to the 53-man roster. They're just camp bodies right now. So that's where I was meaning that we literally have Trimble, Granger, and then you have JT Sanders being tight ends right now. So,
man, this Granger thing is fascinating, man. Like I saw a video. Like, so there's a clip of him. Like, I guess I don't know if he was at Coastal. I don't know where he was. Right, whenever he was like just kind of running some routes. You know what I'm saying? Like, just catching some passes and stuff. He is like I talked about this, man. Like, if you ever wanted to know what Braun would have looked like in the NFL, and I know somebody brought up Donald Parham or whatever, 6'7". Like, I get it. 6'9", and he is like a legitimate 6'9", closer to 6'10". This dude is long and it's super athletic. Like, this gonna be Doug. It's just gonna be wild to watch it. It might not materialize in another. I just hope the dude make it to at least training camp so we can see him in one preseason game, because it's gonna be crazy to look at.
I mean, you can't teach height. And one thing I think a lot of people are saying is his weight. He does have to get his weight up. Yeah. Because again, I mean, he's in basketball shape weight. It's not, getting hit or having to block. So for me, I honestly think with you having, I think it was 5 other teams looking at him, there was interest somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless if it was a project or not, there was interest across the NFL. And then you had one of your divisional rivals out there that were trying to sign him as well. So, well, I mean, like, what are we talking here? I mean, I like it. I just have to see it. And again, like I said, 6'8", you cannot teach height. You can't teach height at all. And then when we look at the experiment, I'm not saying the greats, but most greats that play basketball transition great to football. And if you know who those names are, I'm not going to put those names on them at all. But hey, I'm going to put this comment up for you real quick before you say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then we're going to, after you make this comment, we're going to jump into the slides. Go ahead, Twan. Twan said the feeling's completely mutual, man. He said,
yeah.
my God.
For sure. I done known Twan for a long time, man. Twan's a great voice. I saw somebody else say this. I was like, Twan might be on 100. Like, for real.
Yeah.
Hey, but hey, look.
Hey, Twan go to 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah,
real
but that's
quick.
not for real. That's my guy, man. I don't, Twan. I've known Twan since the early days of KPTV. You know what I'm saying? So, been around. Gosh, I don't know Twan since like 2021. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he ain't been nothing but 100 ever since, man. And that's
Good
my
people,
man. So appreciate that, Twan.
Are you want to jump into the deck, or you have one more comment?
Well, I wanted to make one more comment. We talking about Granger. Like, to me, he's one of those guys. Like, when I posted that video of him talking on Instagram and just seeing, you could just tell, like, he's just one of those, like, I hate to use this term because this has become so common, man. He's a dog or whatever, but it's the mentality, man. It's that mentality. It's the same reason why, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, why so many people are so big on Jalen Walker. You know what I'm saying? It's just the mentality. And I know we're going to get to that, so I'll talk about something that I believe is perfect for someone like Jalen Walker to come into Carolina that I haven't covered yet, and we'll go to that in a minute, but continue.
Okay. All right, so we're going to jump into it, man. So with these slides, they are kind of sorted by round, and hopefully the chat understands why I did them this way. So these are all top 30 visits. Some are local visits as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Top 30 visits, local visits. There are going to be 4 per slide. So we got, 4 more? Then we'll talk about Bryce, and then we're going to do a mock draft. So as you can see, you got Tech, Jalen Walker, Nick Emmenwar, and Donovan. I cannot say his last name. I've been practicing all day. Ezaraku. So with your first 4 right here, again, this is no particular order, what day they came in or whatever. These are just confirmed top 30 visits and local visits for these gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So if you're at number 8 right now, how would you feel, and which way or which route would you go into with these top 4 right here?
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. This is hard because 8 is one of those spots. Like, the year that we picked JC Horn, that was an easy one, man, because it really was it was one of 2 guys. Now, personally, so we did a mock draft on PNP's channel, right? Mm-hmm. And we had like this huge mock draft, and I beat the drum that year for Micah Parsons, and people was like, "Yo, nah, man," you know what I'm saying? Because it was a lot of the same stuff about, like, well, is he gonna play edge? Is he gonna be an off ball? Like, what's he playing? And I'm like, I don't care. The dude is just ridiculously talented. Like, it don't matter. And obviously, we see what's happened. And look, I'm happy we made the pick because we could have went Surtain. That's obviously, I think, like I said, it was one or 2 guys. It was either Pat Surtain or it was JC Horn, right? It wasn't nearly as much of a question because the blue of the blue chips, in my opinion, it's front loaded. You know what I'm saying? Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, maybe, I guess if you want to say Cam Ward, you know what I'm saying? But for us, though, the guys that we would definitely, take a run at, Mason Graham, you know what I'm saying? Possibly even Will Johnson, right? Those guys are probably going to be gone before 8. So if you want any of those guys, you're going to have to pull the Bryce situation and move up to get them. Would I do that this year? Absolutely not, right? So of those guys that you showed, I mean, obviously the chalk pick would be Jalen Walker, right? Because he feels a need. You do need edge rush help, right? But he's so much more than that, right? Because when I was listening to his videos and just the kind of leader that he is, number one, when you're a leader on a team like Georgia and the kind of product that they put out, like, that's a guy you want in your locker room. Reason why? I remember a story. I think it was like 2 years ago. Brian Burns, Shaq, a couple of other people had like a closed door meeting. Shaq went in, was just they said, man, he was lighting people up, cussing people.
He was going in. You know what I'm saying? That was about 2. That was during Matt Rule's era. Matt Rule's era.
Yes, it was. Here's the thing, though, man. Like, if I'm not saying that that's bad as far as leadership is concerned, right? But why does it take up to that point for you to show like that kind of aggression? Like, leadership is something that should be more linear, not like a one-time, like, hey, let me get on, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, nah, man, this needs to be a constant thing, constant growth, constant, you know what I'm saying, accountability holding. And I'm not saying that's not happening because I don't know, right? But the one thing that I hear that sounds like leadership from that perspective at that time was that one meeting that was like, yeah, you know, like man, y'all, we got to get it together, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, nah, man, because like to me, Luke and TD, like their leadership would literally start. Go listen to them stories of Luke and TD talking about how they used to go back and forth with Cam in training camp. And tell me, have you heard anything remotely close to that? It seemed like everybody in this locker room is timid, man. And it's like at some point, and I feel like, and when I know we're going to talk about this, but what we saw from Bryce at the end of the year and that kind of swagger is what started to wake guys up and be like, look, man, like we tired of the Panthers looking like this. It's got, at some point, you got to like change the narrative. You know what I'm saying? Why not now? So I feel like adding a guy like Jalen Walker, because I have questions about where he's going to play definitively. But you know what? Hey, man, when you got a guy that good, you'll find a place for him because what he brings in leadership is bar none. So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit, and then I'm going to do a scenario. We had a player on this team that was positionless. Okay. And what happened? He plays for Washington now. And when we had the keys or gave a person the keys to the car, to the kingdom, he panicked and got a player that has not produced since he's been in the Panthers uniform. You talking about DJ Johnson? Talking about DJ Johnson. Walk with me. You walking with me. I'm walking with you. Yeah, I'm walking with you. I got some pushback, but I'm walking. Go ahead. So the thing that scares me is if you get a Jalen Walker that is a positionless player that can play linebacker and outside DN and in an odd man front, put him in the inside. Do you trust that Evero can do that? That's the answer for me. Because again, when you had a player on your back end that produced in different defenses before you got here and was able to produce, you said that we don't have a position for him. So is it that you have to have players that you know that you can lock in at a position and they can do their job, and if something happens and they can't and they have to move to another position, does your scheme fit that player? And you remember on your live, I said the one thing I wanted us to do this offseason is find players that fit a 3-4, not a coordinator scheme. 3-4 is a 3-4. Sure. You might have different wrinkles. You might have different things here, but a 3-4 is a 3-4. So the issue that I have is I want Jalen Walker, but now the question is, can Ejiro Evero use him effectively where it's not questioned what we do for this defense and that pick? Okay, so you're not wrong. I'm going to say that. Like, everything that you're saying is a valid point, and it's a valid concern. The only thing that I would push back on a little bit is to say this, as far as Jalen Walker is concerned, and the difference, the contrast between him and Jeremy Chin. One, and if you go back and reference the interview I did with Cap, right? So with Captain Muttley, he works out with Jeremy Chin, or was anyway. I don't know if he is after that clip, because we put out a clip that kind of went crazy on the gram, and like, you know, he might have got a little pushback, you know what I'm saying, for some of that. But what he was saying about Jeremy Chin, he was like, you know, and this is coming from somebody who moved positions. Like Cap was a primary outside corner who was asked to move the nickel. And he was like, yo, he kind of started getting exposed in that defense, in even Avero's defense, right? Like, he's grown out of the position. I will never forget this, Doug. You and I talked about this on the live we did. Yeah. I will never forget. I was just watching on a humbug NFL Network on like a random Wednesday night, you know what I'm saying, during the season. TD out of nowhere was like, yo, I mean, they were in a segment that they weren't even talking about Jeremy Chin. And TD was like, yo, Jeremy Chin, move the linebacker. Yeah. The host was like, what? You know what I'm saying? He's like, he has outgrown safety. He is if he moved a linebacker, his measurables, him and Fred Warner would be like mirrors of each other. You know what I'm saying? TD done it. Who knows better than somebody who's done it and went on to be a Hall of Honor player? You could argue at some point, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, he might be a Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? But the point is like, if I've done it and I can recognize it, and I'm telling you, like, man, you could be amazing at this. And where did he do his best work, Doug? When he was here doing great. In the box, closer to the line, yes, of scrimmage. Exactly. So, like, now here's what I would say to that though. Where like I don't think Jeremy could just go to the staff and just like, hey guys, you know, hey Phil or hey Avera, I want to move the linebacker, because they probably be like, man, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So That's a valid concern as far as Avero is concerned, right? But like as far as like deployment is concerned, I mean, how hard is it really? You know what I'm saying? Like bend, hand in the dirt, edge, get to the pass, really it's going to be more smarts on his perspective. The thing that he does really well, and this is what I was saying about Jalen that could be a huge upside. He could do the thing that Abdul did, but do it when it counts, right? Because we still don't know what, like, for as great as Abdul is, man, we don't know what that's going to look like when the shield is on the helmet versus college. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, Jalen could do the opposite where he split time with, off ball, edge, B gap, whatever, and then like come in and they be like, hey, we just want to try you primarily edge and see how it works. And he come in and go crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you would hope. That's at least what you would hope for.
So I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna see your scenario. So there have been rumblings that the New England Patriots are high on Jalen Walker. So let's say Jalen Walker is off the board.
Okay.
Then there have been rumblings of the Raiders liking Barron, the cornerback out of Texas, or Ashton Genty. So then let's say Shedeur Sanders goes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Out of these, you got 3 out of the 4 on the screen. Are you trading back? Or are you staying at 8?
I'm staying at 8. The trade back stuff, man, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand where people's mindset is when it comes to that. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. But, like, it depends on how do you view these players? Like, are you viewing them like me? I'm going to be honest with you. And I know, people have their, beliefs. I'm high on Nick Emmanwori. I think Nick is the best safety in this draft. What he does at his size, height, and speed, how he tracks, that stuff you can't teach. And all the combine did, and one of my favorite people to listen to is Greg Cosell. I don't know if people are familiar with Greg Cosell, but Greg Cosell's dad, if I'm not mistaken, was the guy that started NFL Films, right? So his life, you don't see Greg Cosell in a lot of places because he's not like us, man. And I certainly didn't mean that the way that it sounded like I just meant it by saying not like that.
I caught what you said. But yeah.
I ain't even think about that until it was coming out. And I was like, man,
I caught what you said. What you said.
But when I say not like us, I'm talking about like, he ain't a talking head, man. Like, Doug, I ain't no expert, man. I'm a narrative guy. All I do is I look at stuff that I like as a fan and I talk about it and just, pop stuff and just, and try to look cool doing it. I'm not an expert, right? Greg is. So you don't see him talking to a lot of people that he knows. Like, he said something about Shedeur Sanders, right? And he was like, some of the narrative about Shedeur Sanders that's like, working against him right now. He's like, if you're seeing this stuff and you're saying this, I can tell the people who really aren't watching film. I wanted to raise my hand and be like, I'm one of those guys. Now, I ain't against Shedeur Sanders, but I don't sit and watch film like crazy either, right? Here's what I do know. What I do know is that when I hear people like Greg gush about people like this, then it starts to perk my ears in the same way that people did about Bryce Young and his anticipation and his accuracy. It starts to perk my ears. Why? Because what we saw at the combine only supports what the tape showed, right? Correct. Now, could you find a few plays here and there, or even a number of plays, if you will, where maybe things didn't really work out in his favor? Sure, you can do that with Tom Brady, right? But can you find what the combine supports as far as his athleticism, how he tracks the ball, watching the interceptions, the players that the teams that he did it against? What he did against LSU was nuts. You know what I'm saying? This year. And yeah, you could argue LSU should have won that game because of a bad call. But the point is like the combine stuff supports the tape. So me personally, any one of those 4 guys that you got listed up there, I would even say Donovan Ezeraku. If I'm at 8, I'm just taking BPA.
I'm gonna pull it back up. And real quick, and Twan, I appreciate that super chat. I'm gonna pull it back up. So you said you'll take Donovan, and let me read Quan's super chat real quick. Appreciate that too, Twan. You said enjoying the content from these brilliant brothers, real content from real fans. Make sure you are subscribed to both of their channels. Definitely appreciate that shout out right there, Twan, man.
Yes, sir.
Corbin had a couple of comments. He said Stark is better than Nick, and then he said Will Johnson's the better CD. A little bit pushback from some people in the chat. Then Panther Boy 803 said Watt is a good safety as well. He's talking about Xavier Watts.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
We have talked about him. Talked about him last week. Well, not last week, but I know on a live before we talked about him. And I think we had Ricky Raines, who's with Panthers on Tap, and he has the Draft Crush channel as well. So shout out to Ricky over there. One thing that you said that kind of made me smile was the combine wise, going to see these players outside of playing with their teams, and you have to talk to coaches, talk to, line up with different players, and you just got to show your talent. I was able to see that. And certain players that me and you I talked with you behind the scenes, Doug, what did you see and all this and that? It's different when people can still perform with playing with their team, but then when it comes to showcasing when the bright lights are on you, some people pulled apart. And some people, as you see now, some people's draft stock is falling based off of player meetings, performance.
Yep.
40s. Again, one thing I hate when it comes to 40 is time and game time speed. And it's tricky because, again, some people like to see you at the combine. Some people like to turn the tape on. And John just said it. He's not a tape guy. He'll look at you at the game. And to me, that I'm not mad at that because, again, at the end of the day, once you get that person in-house, what can you do then?
Absolutely. And that brings me to another person you have on the screen and who you have on the thumbnail, Ted.
Here, you want me to go ahead and talk about Ted? I'll pull him back up. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Here's my thing. I understand that there's reservation about what Ted said in terms of watching film. Now, context is important. From my understanding, this was something that was filmed when he was like a freshman, right? So I don't think this was something that was like, recent. But let's just say that it was. Let's just say it was at the beginning of this year or the beginning of last year. Did it impede him from putting up 1,300 yards 2 years in a row? No. Sometimes we overthink this stuff, right? I'm not going to be mad if they draft Ted. The only thing to me that would I think Xavier Legette can be everything that we believe that he can be. Yeah. My only concern with Xavier Legette is is it possible, and I know people might push back on this, but is it possible the spotlight might be a little bit too big right now?
For Excel?
Yes.
I don't think so, and the reason why I say I don't think so because I blame us fans. Even though we're content creators, we're fans.
Why?
And one thing that I think I heard on somebody's live, and I think I want to say Armchair GM CJ. CJ made this point. Excel didn't have that many drops. It's just the critical drops that he had at that time. And one player I'm allude to that we gave the same pressure to was Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard was terrible with his hands.
Indeed.
And what did Chuba Hubbard do?
Him
and Tommy Tremble went to go get a Judge machine, and they call them the Judge Sheen brothers. And when we signed Tommy Tremble, they said, when are y'all getting back on the Judge machines?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How do you know that?
How do we know what?
How did you know that he was on the jug machine?
We saw it.
Bingo. What do you see mostly from XL?
Country.
So that
country
look
is
again.
Yeah.
Push back, be upset, be angry, yell at me, throw stones. It's cool. Optics matter. I'm sorry. It is what it is, man. Like, I'm not saying that it's not important. Like, this, nobody works harder than this guy, right? We've seen that. Last summer, man, that's all we saw. When he was coming in, man, it was a few workouts that he was doing, man. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude gonna be incredible. And look, this was one of the things that I was pounding the table for people who were like, yo, man, this XL thing, this drop thing is, man, did you see what he did to Darius Slay on the play that if he caught that ball,
he would be a
superstar. He would be out of here, bro. That's what you and I was talking about. Man, he would be out of here. If he would have caught that ball and nailed them dudes in Philly on that play, not to mention that drive doesn't happen if when Bryce, and I pointed this out too, this is the reason we was going crazy over Milton Williams. Bro, Jalen Carter was one-on-one with Robert Hunt. they had to put Cade Mays and Damian Lewis on Milton because Milton was in the backfield all game, right? So on that very play, Milton get in the backfield again, Bryce break off and throw the ball to who? XL. So without him, that drive didn't even where to get to the point where you could have that. The big third down versus the Saints. You know what I'm saying? Need to have it conversion to go on and score to win the game. Who jumps up and catches that ball in traffic? XL. He got it. The problem is this is like, if you know, it's just like Ja. You know what I'm saying? Ja, they're doing the gun stuff, man. Like, look, if you got stuff that's going on, optics matter. Man, look, who we finally seeing outside. I told you earlier, man, I was like, hey, Lil 9 out here showing a statement, man. And I'm a back off a minute because I'm going ahead of myself. So I'm going to back off on the Bryce stuff.
All right, no, because we're going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah,
I know.
Go ahead.
Now, hold on. Hey, shout out to Low. Well, I ain't gonna call him. He go by Low. I ain't gonna say his government name. I was about to say his government name.
I know Low.
Hey, we know Low. Hey, Low, my bad. I was about to say your government name, man. But,
that's the boy
over there at the is it tailgate?
That's the pregame, man.
Yeah, the pregame show.
Yeah, what
the
Low?
Pregame show. And I saw Low go live earlier, man. We actually got a lined up where Low is going to be with us post draft. So definitely be on the lookout for that, man. Like I said, we are collabing all year. It's the reason why we got these collabs going on. We'll drop more details when it gets closer to training camp. But if you are a content creator and have not been on What's Up, Doug, trust me, it's coming. Just give me time. I promise you. John will let you know. Doug gonna give you 2 weeks in advance. Like, hey, bam, bam, bam. Hey, this is what we're trying to do. So I appreciate you pulling up in the chat, Low, man. I'm going to go to a couple of comments, then we'll go to the second slide. A lot of people saying, to answer your question, I think it was T. Thompson. Let me see if he said it. He said, yes, the spotlight is too big for XL. Then he said, we definitely need to draft a wide receiver. Then Twan came behind and said, I'm a big fan of taking Jalen Walker. Recently, I asked myself, is Jalen Walker better at linebacker than Nick Emenwari at safety? I had to be honest with myself, and now I'm on Emenwari. Got me thinking. I know he had the thinking part, the second part. And with that, you only had 3 safeties. And CJ, if you listening correctly, we only had 3 safeties, like I not alluding to the tight ends that we have. We only have 3 safeties on this team right now. What is a bigger need right now, safety or outside linebacker or D lineman? I think it is safety, but
100%.
Again, when you look at it in a broader light, we need pressure. And I still think there are safeties that are legit in the second and third round that we can bring in here and they can produce from day one. So
I agree with that. My only thing though is this, man, is like, I mean, Trayvon Moehrig is kind of the same. Well, not really, because Moehrig can play the box. He don't play field well.
Yeah,
but Nick can
play
do
both, though.
Yeah, Nick can do both. He can play both. Yes, Nick can do both. Right, correct. But I feel like he would be better suited in the same role, especially at that size. And look, Nick a banger, bro. Like Nick will hit. I feel like he would be better in that role that Moehrig is probably going to play. But bro, man, if I remember when, and I talked to you about this, man. Remember seeing the video of Frank Reich filming with what looked like a Nokia at CJ Stroud's Pro Day?
Yeah.
And then when he was at Bryce's, it was like this. Okay, so my man at CJ Stroud's Pro Day, he like, you know, then when he had Bryce's Pro Day, he just kind of like, okay, you know, more reserved. That's good.
Yeah.
Good little throw on the 9 route there. Okay, I see you. You could tell the difference. To me, Dave Canales, I think they're not tipping their hand because he knows this is the closest thing that you're going to have to that dude that wore 31 that played for the team that you came from and where you came up that you're going to see probably in a while. Dudes like this don't grow on trees. They don't. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, when I look at Nick, I'm like, yo, man, I got my chance to draft my version of Cam Chancellor. Like, you know what that if this dude hit, do you understand what that would turn this defense into? Like, Avera would have to go out and wreck the Ferrari on purpose.
I'm gonna say this, and going to training camp, is fun, but when have we had a energy guy like a safety that I love that wore that Tar Heel blue and was loud, flamboyant, everything? You didn't have to send him, you did not have to sit him down. You know what I'm talking about. Trey Boston. When did you have a safety, regardless of how you felt about Trey Boston thudding, he was that safety that we needed. Right now, you just had Sam Franklin go away, who people wanted to come back, and I'm glad he's gone because of all the personal fouls on special teams. But you cannot have a Nick Scott go out there and be right aside Trayvon Moore. You cannot have that.
No.
So again, I think they're going to sign 2 safeties, regardless wherever it is from round 1 to 7. I think, again, the only safety that they have brought in is Sanker, and we're going a little bit ahead, but with the question that you guys are asking, the Sanker is the only safety that we brought in. Only safety that we brought. And Nick Emery, I forgot because he went for the local day with him, being from the area. Those are only 2 safeties. Only 2 safeties. And with you only having 3 right there, that's going to be kind of shocking that if you draft somebody that didn't have I said, harking on a top 30 visit or top 2 at the Senior Bowl or the Combine, that's going to be telling, because again, you need to draft more than 1.
Yeah.
You got Damani Richardson. Yes, he was undrafted. He's unpolished. I call those hitting gems.
He's got something though. He got it's something there. He just didn't get it. He didn't get his burn, but it's something there. Yeah.
So that's where I saw your face when I said 2. Again, people say I said we got 9. I say some people said we got 10 picks. Which, regardless of that, 2 of those picks are going to be taken away with the safety because that room is very scarce right now.
And on top of that, like, okay, let's just say you do grab Nick. What's to say you don't come up like, look, there's guys you don't have on the slide.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. I'm a huge fan, still am a huge fan of James Pierce, right? I do think James Pierce is going to fall. The problem
hold on. Let me read this real quick. My bad. So, Corbin, shout out to you for writing that this in the comment. He said, if James Pierce falls in the early second, late first, Panthers need to trade up if we don't pick DN at first pick.
Okay. The only thing that I'll push back on with that, because I completely agree. I mean, honestly, and let me just say this for context sake, just to, kind of give a little bit of a umbrella over the James Pierce situation. Many people don't realize this, that coming into this year, now, granted, you could say, well, they said Carson Beck was going to be a first round pick this year, right? But coming off of last year's stats, tape, all that kind of stuff, right? James Pierce was projected to potentially be the number 1 pick in this draft. Last year.
Yes, facts.
And then somebody else came in and took his place. But I will implore you on your own time, if you got PFF or you got Google, go Google James Pierce's stats from last year and Abdul Carter's stats from this year and tell me they don't mirror each other. This dude going to be heck when he get in the league. And the thing that I hope that he don't fall to is Philly. Because if he fall to Philly in replacement of Josh Sweat, guess what? Lombardi number 2, right? Yeah. Especially if he hits early. So the only thing that I worry about with James Pierce is
the off the field.
Yeah. Well, see, the off the field can be worked with. That's okay, right? Yeah. In the right location. I'm not bringing a guy with character concerns back to his hometown. Not happening. I'm not bringing you to Charlotte.
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
I'm not of all cities.
People got to understand what those off-field issues are, and you bringing them right back into the area that he grew up. I almost said the word because I'm not going to discredit where anybody grows up. But why would you do that to somebody? And
not happening.
Thank you.
Not happening. It's a reason Wayne left Louisiana. It's a reason Ross left Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, people leave their hometowns because dudes get jealous seeing success. I'm not about to have you out here where you got to walk around with bodyguards or somebody catch you lacking. It's a reason why we mourning people like Dolph, mourning people like P&B Rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, get away. Now, P&B wasn't from LA, but you know what I'm saying? Get away from your hometown. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's too many haters. Too many haters. Go somewhere new.
Yes, Corbin. That's what I was saying, but I'm not, again, my mom grew up in Camden, New Jersey. People know where Camden, New Jersey, and that's one of the worst hoods in America. And I mean, if you know me, me and John talk behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. I'm not a product of what my mother grew up. So again, I'm not saying that, but why tempt a young man to even come back into that area where he's trying to go away and flourish?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But now let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I
John.
personally know, like you, I know that out, man. My brothers were street dudes. One sitting down right now. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, man, nah, go away. You know what I'm saying? If I could, I was trying to do everything in my power to get my brother out of, you know what I'm saying, where he was. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how that works. So, but go ahead.
All right, we're gonna go to our second. So this is in between late first, early second. You got Walter Nolan, Braden Swenson, Cal Kennard, and Carson. How you say his last name? Shit. Don't have me say people's name. I will butcher him on this live. But I'm gonna call him CS. But y'all know the linebacker out of UCLA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm a huge Walter Nolan fan. Huge Walter Nolan fan.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I tell people: why not make your strength stronger? Just look at who won the Super Bowl. They made their strength stronger.
Indeed.
And when John had me over, we talked post Super Bowl, and I said, what won the game? The line of scrimmage on both sides.
Absolutely.
One thing Carolina's always had is a dominant front four. I understand we're in the 3-4, so we say a dominant front seven. Regardless who's in that front seven, you always can get away and kind of shadow your back four because you're providing pressure. And for me, I love a couple of players on this slide right here, starting with Walter Nolan, Swanson out of LSU, and I know we have a lot of Gamecock fans that are Panther fans that like Cal Kennard. So for me, if we do a trade back, I love the trade back because also I think your boy out of Boston College will be there at a trade back, depending on where they trade back at as well.
Yeah.
So for me, right now, I'm like in our second tier, and that's where I'm calling these players your second tier players with a trade back and getting more value where you can trade back up in the second round. Go ahead.
I do think that, because there's other players that aren't on this slide that I like in the second round, guys with massive potential. Like I'm big on, like I've said this before, and the reason I like guys like Walter Nolan is because Walter Nolan's one of those kind of guys in the same vein of someone like I don't know if you have Dion on another slide. I know Dion was a top 30 visit, but I talked about how, like, in the Water Boy, right? You had Bobby Boucher wasn't scared of nothing, right?
Yeah.
But the rest of his team, like, he gave them a confidence that helped them not to be scared of anything. But bro, when they was out there in the bayou, and then Big Meanie got off the bus with the coach, you know what I'm saying? And big ball headed Meanie got off the bus. Them dudes were scared. Them the kind of guys that you want on your roster, man. Like, I know the NFL right now is a speed league and finesse with some teams or whatever like that. But I'm from the old school. I can remember seeing dudes get off the bus that was 6'5" in high school, and you be like, hey man, it's about to be a long day. Because I'm telling you, I don't know where he play, but you gonna have your eyes on him, and you'll take your eyes off of primary responsibility, because every time that dude show up on the field in pads, because it add about 3 inches to you, that dude that's scary. You know what I'm saying? Unless you find out he's soft, and then that's different. But if he got a name, go ahead.
When's the last time you heard this term and how great our defense was? Hog mollies. You remember when we drafted hog mollies?
You don't.
And you remember the 2 hog mollies that we had?
KK and Star.
Star. Those are, I call them big uglies too.
Yeah.
But you cannot be mad when you get a big ugly and then you're forcing so many turnovers.
Well, a lot of that, Doug, is because, one, our defensive front. I mean, the NFL has changed drastically. Like the defensive schemes don't look anything like they used to, right? Because even I know we argue 3-4 to 4-3 or whatever like that, but to be honest with you, most teams spend the majority of their time in a 4-2-5 or something, some kind of variation of that, having a nickel safety a nickel corner on the field. So like you don't see a lot of what we used to see, where you had that 4-man front and 3 backers, right? Just because now you got so many, 4 wide receiver sets with teams, and the offenses are so spread out now. So you kind of have to do it that way. Yeah. But man, when you're right, regardless of the sets, regardless of how things go, you still need, I mean, like you said, that's what made Philly so great this year, is that they didn't just have guys that were like powerful. They still had some versatility, but for every Jalen Walker, for every Milton Williams, like I told you, when we were talking about Dion, hey man, I'm going to start you off with Turk. with Derek Brown and with Bobby.
Talk about it. I know where you're trying to get at.
Guess what your consolation prize is? Your consolation prize is in rotation. Now you got Dion. Same thing in Philly. Hey man, we're gonna give you Milton and Jalen Walker. Now we're gonna bring Godzilla in pads out here, and you got to deal with him and Jordan Davis.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so pick your poison. And we're gonna beat you up. We're gonna lean on you all game long. Yep. Remember Rock, when Rock had the gangsters in his house when they was in the neighborhood, he said, man, I'm gonna lean on you, man. I'm gonna lean until you get out of this neighborhood. Hey, look, that's what time it is. I'm gonna lean on. And when you look down this roster, no disrespect, Jaden Crumity, you know what I'm saying? LeBron Ray, what?
That back end don't scare you at all.
That ain't scaring me, man. That's not scaring me. I don't care. Like, no, you need dudes. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, so yeah.
So look, for me, right here on this one, I would love a Walter Nolan and a Swanson. I will say I will take any of these in a trade back in the late first round, early second round. I would take any of these guys, depend on not even saying so. Right here, where I say this meaning that we're coming out of pick number 8 and we're trading back, and you're possibly going to get 2 out of these 4 players. I'm not mad at any of these options coming out the gate if we trade back and you're able to grab any 4 of these guys before you go into the late second round.
Let me ask you this, Doug. As far as trade back is concerned, do you see any of those 4 guys, like you go to the dealership and you came to buy a Scat Pack, but they tell you like, hey man, the credit look like you might be able to get this Optima though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you settling for the Optima trading back, or you going for the Scat if it's there? Because the Scat Pack might be Nick E.
So you remember the thing where I went for the 3-for-1 special, where I talked about you wanted Milton Williams, but you got 3 players where your depth. One thing you just said, nobody's scaring you with just 1 player. Then you don't have any depth pieces behind it. You went a 3-for-1 special. You got 3 players that can do what that 1 player can do, and you got a rotation. So that's then when you say that, I'm looking at it as Walter Nolan is a great interior D lineman. Swanson may not have all the traits, but he can come in and give you that different type of speed from a Clowney or DJ Wanham or a what's the other boy? I just lost his name. Pat. I can't think of Pat's last name. And you also can't forget Cal Kennard. So for me, I'm okay with any of these right here. I'm okay with any of those 4 coming in outside of the linebackers. All of those are your interior D linemen or your DNs. So I'm fine with it.
Now, when you say, okay, so in a trade back scenario, are you saying these guys would be like who you would pick in like the 20s or like the, 20s or
so I'm talking late teens, meaning 17 between 21. That's as far back I would want us to trade back.
Okay.
Now I'm okay with the early teams. You're looking at Miami, Dallas, the Colts. Really and truly for me, the furthest back I would want us to trade is the Cincinnati Bengals. And somebody asked about Trey Henderson. He is not a fit for this defense. I understand the talent he is, but why bring somebody in here that does not fit a 3-4? He's a 4-3 defensive end. He cannot cover and stand up and be your outside linebacker in pass coverage.
Plus, what he could do is be the defensive end piece, but in that case, you wouldn't have went out and got Bobby because Bobby, you know what I'm saying? Because Bobby's going to be rotational. He's not just going to play nose. Like, they're still covered in that nose tackle, so that's still a thing. So yeah.
All right, let me read. So if this draft is like Lions Gibbs draft, we could be Super Bowl contenders. Gibbs. He's talking about when the Lions got Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, I see that. T. Thompson, yes. Like I said, I'm not naive to think we don't need interior D linemen. You're averaging 200 rushing yards in you every game. CJ second that as well. Talking about tell him T. Thompson. So let me think. Mr. Hunky Dory wrote us a super chat. He said, John, would you rather have 199 player or 385? There you go.
I'll answer that pretty easily. I'll take 199 and bet on traits personally. And the only reason I say that is this. We have seen the world where multiple people have like we've moved back and drafted like multiple people. So you would have to ask yourself this question. Do you trust the brain trust that would be picking these 385s to pick the correct one versus picking, like, say, for example, okay, if we look in our history, right? Suppose they move back the year that they draft Kuechly. He was a 99, right? He was a player that many people at the time think we didn't really need. Why? Because, man, what about John Beeson? You know what I'm saying? Well, John Beeson was hurt a lot, right? Or Christian McCaffrey, you know, and we saw what he was able to do with us, right? The key is like when you get the 99s to keep them, to develop them and keep them. A lot of our 99s play on different teams. The thing that Philly has done so well is that they keep replacing the 85s and keeping the 99s, right? Because they're not afraid to pay people. People that have become 99s for us, we get rid of. Josh Norman became a 99, gone. You know what I'm saying? DJ Moore became a 99, gone. So I would say that I would take the 99 player because there's just way too many examples of teams being able to build their structure around those specific people. Because, like, let me say this too, Doug. Guys that are 99s aren't just 99s physically. These guys are 99s mentally, and they raise the level of the other players to become 85s. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would take the 99, especially if I know it's a surefire bet, which there aren't many of those. And I'm not really, there's none of those. It's all a crapshoot, right? But I would bet on the traits of what could be a 99 before I say, okay, well, let's pass on this so we can get more draft capital or whatever. Because I'm swinging for the fence. And I'm sure that these guys in the front office are probably thinking in a lot of ways the same way. Like, it wouldn't shock me with 9 picks if they start moving around a lot and you see them move back up into the first round.
Oh,
right?
We're going to trade up. We're going to trade up. Again, I'll tell you behind the scenes. There's something I'm going to tell you that I already know what's going on at Panther Stadium next week. I'll tell you behind the scenes. I'm going to keep that close to the chest, but me, you're going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Dan Morgan has talked about it in his pressers that they're going to be aggressive. He knows what they want. Mm-hmm. And we kind of showed our hand whenever we had, I think, was it Bobby Brown or Pat Jones, they came in, and they were looking at Georgia film. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Dan Morgan knows the pressure. He wants us to win. Again, one thing I'll never forget that they said, we have our quarterback. I heard it firsthand with this man sitting in Frisco, Texas. We have our quarterback. I think that was the one thing, regardless if you do not like Bryce Young, they think we have our quarterback. Now, if that's going to change throughout this season, we can have that discussion throughout the season. But as of right now, you don't have to worry about getting a Cam Ward. You don't have to worry about getting a Shedeur Sanders. You don't have to worry about getting a Will Howard. You don't have to worry about getting a Jason Dart. So for me right now, I'm fine with whatever way they do it, but I know it needs to be strategic. It needs to be explained, meaning that we do not have to go reach for a player. You do BPA. And the best way to do BPA, you have more holes on this defense. Real quick, let me go to CJ's comment. He made a comment that said, this defense is still work in progress. Going to take more than this draft to get it right. But I disagree with that because, again, you can get 3 starters out here right now out of this draft on that defensive side of the ball and be fine.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I heard a really, really, and I can't remember a popular coach say something. I can't remember who the coach was. And this is a Super Bowl winning coach. It was like a D coordinator or something like that, right? That became a head coach and won a bowl. But I can't, and it's odd because I can't remember who it is. But he said, man, do you know how difficult it is to try to get, like, if you guys have children, you know this with having children. Like, you have a framework of how you want your house and the structure of your house to go, right? And you have to train your children every single day. But God bless them. Some of those children, it don't matter what you do, they never gonna get certain things that you're trying to teach them. It's only so long fake thugs can pretend, man. You can't do but so much with players who don't have capabilities. So, like, yes, Ejiro Evero, could he have been better in some instances? Absolutely. But what could he really do with what he was working with last year? You know what I'm saying? Doug, it was so many injuries, man. And the roster wasn't tooled up good enough. It's just
and Dan Morgan said that. Pause. Let's give it a credit. The GM said I could have did a better job of fixing this defense. He did say that. And I think right now on paper, the areas that we needed to address, it ain't It's not garbage juice trash right now. That defensive line, I love what we got on defensive line right now. It's not a finished product though, and that's one thing I need again, the strengths to be strengthened. We look at our offensive line. You didn't lose anybody on your offensive line. You brought everybody back.
Blessing.
So for me, I'm cool with that. Are we gonna go to our third one? We got 2 more to go after this one.
All right.
Quan said it. Jalen Noel. So this is our late second round, possibly, maybe early third. You got Jordan Birch. I think did you say Demetrius Knight? Did you say his name earlier, John? Okay, it was somebody I thought you said that you want to know we had him slide. You got Jalen Noel and you got Double O. I'm not saying that name. Double O. So for me, the pick for me would be Jalen Noel. I'm not high on Tech. I talked to John behind the scene. He said, let's go ahead and put Tech up there just to see how people feel about it. I love Jalen Noel. I was so happy whenever I think Panther Nation was happy once that news came out that Jalen Noel was I think he was the first wide receiver. Then we had Tech come out for a top 30 visit. I think everybody had a sigh of relief, like, okay, they're not negating that we need to get a wide receiver. One thing that I said with Jalen Noel, and I did this live with Dunk, he's the both of both worlds. He's not the tallest, but he's not the shortest, but he also has speed. He ran a 4.3 at the combine. So for me, I will take Jalen Noel in the second round. And if we stay from 8 to 57, which God knows, I hope we trade up and do something with that, I am okay with getting Jalen Noel as a wide receiver. If you get Jalen Walker, why not go ahead and get a wide receiver that can go with that young core? You have a Jalen Walker, a Coker, and an Etzel, and then Adam Thielen possibly being in this last year. You're not worried about going to look for a wide receiver. And that's one thing me and you talked about. I love how we can not wait for something to go away. We're going to talk about offensive linemen as well. One thing we do not need to do is wait, because Taylor Moton, I think this is his last year. I swear to goodness, I hate it. But for them not to restructure that contract and give him an extension, I think this is his last year. And then that makes
why though? Why?
Well, it's on him though, because of injuries. It's on him. You remember me? I told you I think he has 10. Is it? I'm about to say tendonitis. He has arthritis in the elbow. It's something with his elbow that I think it's time for him to just go ahead and just say, I'm done with it.
Hey man, look.
Whoa.
What?
What? Joe with the hot plate. What's up? Joe with the hot plate. What you cooking up? Hey, what you cooking up? Hey, what you cooking up? Hey, what you cooking up? Doug, doop.
Hey,
Doug with the hot plate. What's up?
Hey, shout out to Mr. Hunky Dory, man. He is a fellow Tar Heel, man. 20 memberships. Hey, shout out to them Tar Heels, though. Everybody that I'll say that's been talking about that Tar Heels, we're going to get it back in blood, but that's another conversation for another day. And shout out to Duke. Hey, I appreciate that, man.
12 of them. I'm 20 of them joints. Excuse me. Yeah.
20 of them joints. But, darn, I don't even know. Hey, Mr. Hunky Dory, I appreciate you. If you got a membership from Mr. Hunky Dory, definitely send him a shout out. Let him know you appreciate that, man. But damn, I don't know what freaking conversation. They just blew my mind, John.
Now we're talking about the Jalen Noel situation and like bringing.
So think about it. If Adam, we're talking about Taylor Moton.
Oh, Taylor Moton, yeah.
So when you think about it, if you have somebody that retires, why would you wait to the draft of that year of them retiring? You already know what route they're going. You already know Adam Thielen is contemplating retirement. He's coming back for one more year. We didn't extend Taylor Moton at $31 million up of that cap space.
I'll put it like this, Doug. This is my thought process. Because again, this is one of those situations where you're not wrong, but I think two things can be true. I think on one hand, you can say like, okay, injuries, potential contract situation, all that kind of stuff. But I'll also say this. How much more would it have helped the Cincinnati Bengals cause to have Andrew Whitworth in their jersey when they played against him when he was in the other jersey and they hoisted the Lombardi? How much more would it be impactful for Taylor Moton to be our version of Lane Johnson, Jonathan Ogden? You name the guys, going back years and years and years, offensive linemen that were staples for their team. And in my opinion, the residual effect of allowing Timo to finish and die on his shield, if you will, is other players, when the negotiations start to come up, and I need about $2 million because I need to do this over here so that we can better the roster. Then you start looking back at like, yo, you had a guy here that was great for a number of years. And at the end of his career, he was still the best, most consistent offensive lineman on your team. And yes, he might have been older. You gave him a few dollars to keep him around. You know what? I'll give you a break. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, hey, Josh Norman, you want how much? All right, what's the Redskins offering? Go ahead. Go ahead and let them get him. We'll figure it out. Let's draft. Look, bro, we got Benet Ben Wickery. Come on, man. Like, get Josh out of here.
And let me say this. Shout out to CJ. Me and CJ talk all the time, and I'm gonna let him know the bet. He said probably they felt like they were gonna do right by Mo and not mess with his contract again. I'm sure he'll be back. Me and CJ had a bet. I think I had 2 years, and CJ had sent him 3 years, and we were going. Next time I come to Charlotte was gonna be a steak dinner. We both missed out, and I was totally shocked that neither one of us got that because $31 million was a big cap hit. But we got the brain trust. Shout out to Jake Delhome's twin brother, Mr. Brenton Tillis himself, that has needs his own statue out there in Carolina. And if Dan Morgan, David Temper are listening, do not let that man go anywhere. We need that man here in Carolina. You cannot allow another team take him away. You throw him the bag if you need to.
If Dan don't work out, that's your next GM probably.
Facts. So back to the and then appreciate everybody shouting out Mr. Honky Dory again. We appreciate those 20 memberships over here at What's Up Doug with the Dougie Effect, man. I definitely appreciate that, Mr. Honky Dory, man. So what would you? I'm gonna put the graphic back up for you, John, so you can tell the chat how are you thinking with the Jalen Noel. Would you take Jalen Noel? Would you take the linebacker Demetrius Knight? Are you taking another DN and Jordan Birch? Are you taking another DN 00 agent out of UCLA?
I'll be honest with you, Doug. The Jalen Noel, I haven't done a ton of research enough to be able to make an educated decision on this. The question I would have is this: what's he playing? Speed you cannot teach, and you need as much of that as possible. I'm sure early on he's just, obviously going to be rotational. But I don't expect, and especially for him being a second-round pick, if you take him even at 57, you're bringing him in to have a considerable role in the offense, right? So my question would be, who you pulling snaps from to do that? Like, you got to pull snaps from somebody, right? In order for him, especially one thing about wide receivers, man, and I've seen this so many different times over the years, right? And I'm sure that as time starts to progress, you'll see this happening more with the guys as they get more comfortable, like Coker and Excel, right?
Yeah.
It's like them. If they're not like, sometimes those guys don't feel like they're contributing if they're not like in game, tons of catches, all that kind of stuff. The last thing you would want, and I'm not saying that you don't draft a receiver or bring in some competition because of this, because I'm like, hey, bro, if you upset that you ain't getting reps, you can go fly a kite. But the thing, though, is if you draft somebody this high, again, you are saying we're not good enough at this position. So we need to bring more competition in the room. You could argue that with some people. Some people would say XL is the man. Some people would say, nah, bring in competition. We've seen it in the chat tonight. As far as I'm concerned, if it's the kind of speed that I've seen from other players in the draft that you can get in later rounds that you could take a flyer on, as far as like game-breaking kind of speed, then yeah, I'll probably be all in. But I don't know him. I haven't looked at him well enough to know if that's the case.
So hold on, but you said something, and you play sports. I play basketball. I didn't play football long, but I was a GA with football. What does competition do for the best of them?
Hey man, it's gonna bring you to your next level. It's either that or you're gonna get replaced.
Facts. And Eternal. I can't disagree because it's not proven. I won't call it trash, but I'll call it unproven. The only proven wide receiver you have in that room is Adam Thielen. I cannot call it trash. I won't because, again, it's too early. You had two rookies come out last year. You did bring back David Moore as well, but I personally cannot call our wide receiver room trash. It's unproven. I will say that.
You cannot strip down a team so many times to its nucleus and expect these guys. Like, I think the biggest thing that happened with the Carolina Panthers going into 2025 is the fact that they kept everything together. That's why, like, look, on one hand, I was like, yeah, the Avero thing is a real problem, no doubt.
Yeah, it is.
But I was also an advocate of keeping him around because at some point you've got to keep at least something together. You cannot keep firing coaches year in and year out and expect to build any kind of culture. It just does not work, right? So if obviously this year, I hate to say leash, but it's going to be short, right? You come out and get torched by the Saints week 1 like you did this past year, he out of here. Yeah, he out of here immediately.
I was there. Boy, you talking about losing my old-time religion and I almost wanted to set something on fire, man. And as much junk that we were talking as Panther fans. Come on now.
Hey, Lo just said it. The consistency. That's, I mean, to me, I know, look, you got to look for small wins in life, man. That's a win. Yeah. That's a win. I know it is is it the win that most people want? Of course not. But 7 years of absolute trash and mediocrity, at some point, consistency has to be seen as a win because now we got something we can build on. So I'm like you. Do I think the wide receiver core is trash? No, absolutely not.
It's just unproven.
Bro, how many teams, like, think about this. How many teams did what XL and Coker was able to do against, like, at one point, even though we got smoked in the game and we lost, Bryce had threw more yards against Denver at that point in the season than anybody else had.
We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. You ready to talk about him?
Who was catching the passes?
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many teams did you see do to Philly what we almost did to Philly in Philly? Teams in their division.
I just told you. Most of my family are Eagles fans. When I say they were like, how did y'all, again, we're close, but no cigar. And when I say we're close, we're close. The NFC South is reachable, and that crown is reachable. It's close. But again,
5 touchdowns in that final game.
Yeah.
Bro, go look at that. There was 2 routes specifically. The whole shot that he threw to what's my man name? Jatavian Sanders. And obviously the Trimble, catch in the end zone. But he threw a corner route to Xavier Leggett. That, by the way, as short as Bryce is, the thing that makes him so magical is the fact that his anticipation is just unbelievable. But Xavier Leggett, absolutely. I mean, he had Jesse Bates out there doing this because you can't. I mean, the dude, man. When I saw him, his first step off the line of scrimmage is explosive.
Yeah.
If this dude is working like we hope that he's working in the offseason, bro. Remember, like, okay, I'll say this last thing, and I'm gonna let you move on to the next slide. Remember, so Jordan had got beat by the Detroit Pistons like 2 years in a row. You know what I'm saying?
I was a baby, but I know what you're talking about. I was a baby.
Right. Well, we got the doc to tell us, the Last Dance doc, right?
Yep.
Jordan, like, all right, what do we got to do to improve? Because the first time they beat him, it was a lot of finesse. The second time, they was just beating the crap out of him. Bill Lambier, Rodman, Sally, they just dogging these boys. And they ain't got Charles Oakley no more, their enforcer. So it's like, what do? Jordan, like I tell you what we do. Get in the weight room. And Tim Grover upped him.
Did that.
Upped him about 25 pounds of muscle. And Jordan came the next year high flying, but also banging down low. You know what I'm saying? What's to say that XL ain't got a similar game plan where he like, okay, I'm not in college anymore. I got an off season. It's all NFL now. I can ride my horses in the off season, do whatever I want to do. But when it's time to work, I ain't got to worry about classes. I ain't got to worry about the rookie emporium. I ain't got to worry about none of that stuff. It's just all work. And he come back next season with some of the confidence, and they show him those plays on tape. Man, look, because this is what I was showing. This is what me and Kat was talking about. Bro, I'm going to show you what that play looked like in Philly. And I'm going to show you how you would have been the next dude on the Old Spice horse if you would have caught that pass. Because you would have got a bag that was unbelievable in endorsements because the league is waiting. Bro, they putting him on Christmas cards. This dude ain't done nothing in the league yet.
He ain't did nothing yet.
The league, they waiting to make him a star. This the best thing. Hey, look, if you're a content creator, if you like us, you want bro to succeed.
Facts.
This the best gift we done got since one was wearing a jersey. You know what I'm saying? I get passionate about that because I see it. I see it can happen.
Facts.
Anyway.
Hey, so I ain't gonna say lock the doors because we taking offering, but somebody give that man somebody give that man a fan because he showed this game a quick sermon right there, man. All right, so we got two more. Last right here, we got I already know who he gonna talk about, so I ain't gonna go first. I'm gonna let John go first.
Yes, sir.
Out of Kentucky. Then one that I didn't know about was Ashton Galenti out of Louisville. Quincy Riley out of Louisville, and Ollie Gordon II. So I already know what John gonna say. I'm gonna pull the slide back down. If he want me to pull it back up, I'll pull it back up. But the floor is yours, man.
Ain't no need to. Like I said earlier, man, when certain dudes get off the bus, man, people get scared. Deion Walker, one of them jokers, man. I don't care who you are in the world. Man, when you see a dude like that can move like that in pads, look, you draft him. Figure it out. I would have, I hoped against hope that we would figure that out with what's the big dude we drafted from Bama? The big offensive lineman that just couldn't,
Turtle.
get us.
They called it
Deontay whatever, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Championship level football player. Man, I saw a play in the preseason against the Indianapolis Colts where he was playing, and look, granted, it was preseason, but this is the kind of, like, when you think about plays, it's usually moments, Doug. There's usually moments that a player has, and who knows when it comes. It could be preseason, it could be OTAs, it could be regular season. Like I said, if I was them, I would show XL the tape of him against Kansas City, the tape of him against the Eagles, the big catch against the Saints, to build his confidence. But, bro, this could have been one of those turning moments for Chuba to become the player that he is now. It's third and whatever, right? Deion Walker, Brady Christensen right beside each other. I love guys that go find work. This is one of the things people love about Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's one of those guys like, I'm going to find some work. If my guy's out of the play, I'm going to find somebody next to you, and I'm going to maul him too. And I saw this happen with Deion Walker. Deion Walker chips I guess whoever's coming into the A-gap, boom, moves him out of the way. Brady Christensen's guy bends the edge a little bit, gets a little bit too much leverage, move him completely out of the play. Chuba just enough to get past. I'm talking championship level football. If he could have ever figured it out, man, oh my God. That's why they kept him around so long. Yeah. They kept him around because they know that from an IQ perspective, he has got it. The thing is that he just can't control his body. That's the problem. And when I saw that play, I was like, yo, I remember me and Cody from C3 was talking. I was like, man, this dude going to be an absolute problem. But he physically, he just couldn't figure it out, man.
It was the weight. It was the weight issue.
Yeah.
So for me, I already knew what you were going to say. I'm going to talk about a player that I had a pleasure talking with, which was Ollie Gordon II. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the Big 12 Pro Day, I did not know that Joker was that.
Oh, he a monster.
Thank you. You said the word because I was going to say pause before I said something.
Yeah.
His body type and build is like Najee Harris. CJ came down and had the pleasure of going with me at the Shrine Bowl. We were able to see Jordan Phillips, chiseled young man. Mm-hmm. Ollie Gordon II is in that same tier. Doe Walker Award winner. This past year, he had a couple of injuries. He just said, speaking to him, even in the interview, which is on Twitter, he said the problem was teams harken more on him where he wasn't able to be that surprise type player. Mm. And for me, I'm okay if we get Ollie Gordon. Again, I know we got another running back on our last slide when we talk about top 30 visits. But for me, Ollie Gordon's the type of running back we've never had here at Carolina. Everybody talks about getting the Derrick Henrys, the Najee Harris, all this and that. He is built just like Najee Harris. And I mean, top to bottom. Again, when we want those 3rd and 1s, he's a north and south runner. He can get elusive if he needs to. But what surprises you with Ollie Gordon as well is for his body type and height, he's not slow. So again, one thing that we struggled with, we saw when Chuba couldn't get that 3rd and 1 because Chuba couldn't read the hole correctly. Nothing against Chuba, or he wanted to go east and west and not go north and south. You have a running back right here that can go north and south and get you that 1 yard plus more, and will put his helmet down to run your butt over. So for me, I know you like Deontay Walker on this particular slide with the particular round, but I like Ollie Gordon as well because, again, if you look at it, you're looking at possibly, I'm going to go back up, you're looking at possibly getting a Walter Nolan, a Cal Kennard. Then if we don't, I can see a Deontay Walker. Then we also can still go into that next slide we talked about, another running back out of Auburn. But for me, I love Ollie Gordon's tape. I think the young man is hungry. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I would not be surprised if he doesn't even go to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, they need a replacement there. Yeah.
And Najee Harris going to the Chargers. Same body type, player comp. I'm not mad at it.
I wouldn't be either. I do concern myself. Now, obviously, in a perfect world, I would love for Rico and Chuba just to go crazy next year. Part of it is because, many people probably notice that I've touted all the time that I went to the same high school as Rico.
Yep.
But like,
pause, John. You got to give credit. We on live. You remember you called me that day? I was in Arkansas and we had a conversation, and I was driving back to Texas, and I said, John, I got a feeling that what was going to happen that day.
We was going to get Rico, and we did. Yeah, you called it. So you called the shot.
I mean, because living in Texas, he was supposed to be signed before Javonte Williams was supposed to be signed. Love my Tar Heels. He was supposed to be signed before him. And when they signed Miles Sanders, people down here in Carolina, people in Dallas were upset because why would you allow a running back that was your only weapon when your quarterback went down and let him walk so easily?
Yeah. Well, I think some of that too is because there are many examples of people, and this is no shot at Rico because Rico has developed into a very solid player, right? But a similar situation happened many years ago, and the Panthers, and this is going to be one of my next videos, where Stephen Davis was with the Washington Redskins. And he kind of had some later in, career production, a little bit better than what you saw in previous years. But Washington really wasn't, willing to do anything, as far as like big contract extension or whatever. And then he comes to Carolina and turns into a completely different player, right? Yeah. So I think that Rico here will probably be an extension of the last of what we saw of him, and not so much what we've seen the first couple of years. You know what I'm saying? Because he was, honestly, for the first couple of years, he was kind of buried on the depth chart. You know what I'm saying? And like, he got opportunities, but they were kind of few and far between. And then when injuries started to happen, then he started to emerge. And now it was like, oh, wait, okay, so we got something here, And so by that time, now Dallas does some really questionable things, with their front office picks and stuff like that. But
it's a one-man show. That's the problem.
100%. But the thing is like, when you look at it in a vacuum, this is one of those ones that I can kind of understand. And look, no disrespect to Rico, because, obviously I'm going to be biased. I'm biased about Ben Johnson because I know Ben Johnson because he went to my high school. I'm biased about Rico because I know who Rico is. We don't know each other, but I know I'm familiar with him, went to the same school. So obviously I'm going to be, rooting for guys like that. But yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of hard to justify giving a big contract to somebody who had, like, you could argue like one in like really, really good year and a few other years of just like, solid production. So this is kind of one of those, hey, now you get to go prove it. And I hope that he proves it here and then gets an extension here as well.
So I'm going to put the question up. You can go, and then I'm going to post people's comments. Mr. Hunky Dory had a good question. And he said, question, keeping Blatcher for special teams and have 3 running backs instead of 2, but then there there's the Brooks question. Brooks is not playing at all this year. So you can ask it out. That's four running backs, but he'll be on the IR all year.
You sure about that?
I will. If they play that boy, I will be pissed.
Why?
Let him recover for 1 year. He just needs a full year. Just let him have a full year, because think about it. Why would you go get Rico? Your boy, why would you go get Rico?
I mean, of course. But I guess my only problem is like, not my problem, but my question is like, what if it don't take a year? Like, what if they can identify like, okay, this is what caused, because there's a lot of unknown when it comes to that whole situation with Brooks. And I'm sure that some of this will be revealed when they start doing blueprints and stuff like that. But like, what if, I mean, you know what? You're right, Doug. You're right. I'm not gonna push back on that. I guess to me, I'm just concerned because in a handful of plays, I saw everything. Like, to me, he is our version of what's been killing us for a number of years in Kamara. And I want it to work, because I'm like, yo, we finally get some get back because we got one of them now. You know what I'm saying? Because, bro, we had one in C-Mac, but like, this dude is just, he's so smooth with it, bro. And he a dog. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, I hope he gets back. I want to see him next year, but not at the peril of him. Now, I don't want what I want to see be the demise of him, you know, long term in his career. So yeah, I'm with you, man.
I'll just say this because, again, and shout out to Low put Harvey, RJ Harvey from UCF. There was a couple of people when we did these slides, we did not put their names, but they're on the slides, meaning where we think tier they'll be. But they're going to draft a running back. I don't know if they're going to draft one, because, again, I think that draftee running back, well, no, I can't say that, because you're going to have
Raheem Blackshear.
Well, they're going to keep Blackshear, but I think Blackshear is going to have to compete with somebody for special teams if that's a wide receiver we bring in. And one thing Dan Morgan even talked about on the back end of the draft, he wants players that can actually do their job, but also special teams. Hey, shout out to that guy at Alabama. I think his name is Q Robinson. Definitely love Q as well, man. He didn't get a lot of burn with everything that comes out of Alabama, but he played all special teams and still was able to produce. Right. So let's go to our last one, and we're going to go ahead and get to Icy Bryce. So our last one, we got Jonas Sanker, Cam Jackson, Jacquez Hunter, and Jalen Lane. We did put RJ Harvey here at the bottom. Again, like I said, these slides are already pre-done the day before, so meaning they were done on Tuesday, and then I edited them a little bit on Wednesday. For me, I like Jacquez Hunter and I like Jarvis Sanker. That's the reason why I brought up the comment of the safeties that we have. We haven't had any safeties brought in other than Sanker for top 30 visits and Nick Emmenwar. But Xavier Watts, who I love, we didn't bring in. Billy Bowman Jr. out of Oklahoma, we didn't bring in. Will Upton, we did not bring in. Is it Winston? The Penn State safety, we didn't bring in. So for me, you're saying that it's obvious that safety is a area that we need to improve, and you're only bringing in two safeties. You're not showing your hand right there, which is kind of good. Dan Morgan.
Because Doug, what kind of car you drive?
I got a Honda CR-V hybrid.
A Honda CR-V hybrid. Was it like your favorite car that you went to the lot and you saw and you was just like, yeah, I gotta have that?
So I got in a bad wreck. That's the reason why I did my research on the safest car, and I wanted an SUV, and they said Honda CR-Vs were the best.
Word. So when you went to the lot, did they have any Kias out there?
Nah.
You don't even know because you ain't looking for them. Why I'm bringing in other safeties when I just saw the safety? I just brought in Nick Emmenwar, the safety. Yeah. I ain't care, man. Look, salute to them other dudes. I hope y'all career go well. I don't need to see you because I ain't drafting you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keep it in the buck. And look, it might be that they're not trying to show their hand. You might be right? But they brought in the guy, right? Because did they bring in Starks?
No, did not.
Low, drop the ether for me.
I mean, you got a point. But at the same time, again, that's where I tell people the draft isn't just won in first round. Right?
That's true. Nothing could be more true than that. For Carolina, it don't seem that way. Because, especially in a heavy defensive draft, might I remind you, only one player left. Hey, Sam Franklin was the lone one, bro. That 2020 draft, hey, YGM, STO, T Pride, Kenny Robinson, Bravian Roy. You know what I'm saying? Sam was the only one hanging on other than DB for a minute. Now they all gone.
But we needed that safety room to go.
Yeah.
We needed that safety room to go. Absolutely. I didn't want anybody back. And CJ does have a point. I am hoping we definitely sign Darius Blackman before before the draft. That helps that room. Because you're not panicking, going to make a panic pick. And again, we know what's happened with panic picks where you look at DJ Johnson and look at others that we've had. You do not have to panic. You look at what's that wide receiver that's down? Jonathan Mingo was a panic pick. So I do not want them to panic at all.
Doug, man, I had so much hope for that kid, man. I really did, man. And I do think that, like I said, remember how I talked about how certain plays can build confidence is so important, man, in so many areas of life, right? Doug, there was a play, and you know me, like I said, I'm a Bryce Venger, right? So it's sometimes I do have rose-colored glasses when I'm looking, in Bryce's scope of his career. But I will say, like, a confidence play for Jonathan Mingo could have been when he absolutely blew the top off the defense and would have walked into the end zone if he was not overthrown in that Saints game in week 2 on Monday night. Can you imagine going back into the film room and watching yourself do that on Monday night? And that could have been the play that won the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, blew the top off the defense and Bryce overthrew him. And it's just like, those kind of plays matter in the grand scheme of building confidence, man. Because if you can put a lot of those together, it helps. Now, I'm not saying that he would have become anything more than what he is, right? But I saw somebody say this today. People was like, yo, in that game against the Texans, and I don't want to take credit from anybody else because I can't remember who I saw that posted this, but it was a comment under a video that Bland, the popular, the ex guy Bland or whatever.
But Bland's out here. Bland live in Louisville. I be seeing Bland during draft night. Word. So shout out to Bland. Yeah.
So Bland had posted clips of the Texans game, right? TMJ had like 13 catches that game or something crazy. Like, he was getting off. And then he disappeared the next game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you keep stealing guys' confidence like that, I'm old enough to remember Smitty saying that TMJ was going to take somebody's job. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I mean, those kind of confidence plays, man, and without consistency and coaching changes and all this other kind of stuff that happens, it affects guys. We don't think that because we looking at it from like, well, your college production should have transitioned to, to this. Yeah, but your college production was with a coach who's been with the same program for the last 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Position coaches who've been in the same position for many, many years. They got a blueprint and a framework by which to bring you into. So you ain't got to change nothing. You just got to be you, and they're going to develop a better version of that. And when you come to Carolina, man, you trying to figure out like, okay, well, am I a leader here, or what am I supposed to be? And you still trying to figure it out.
I think that's kind of changed because, again, when you look at them bringing back J.C. Horn, you look at them extending Derrick Brown. Then you look at them bringing up Mike Jack back. You look at them bringing Adam Thielen back. Chuba Hubbard getting his extension. So there's ways where I see there's different leaders, but we have to. I hate saying this because we're not. We have to be patient. And Panther fans are not patient
at all.
That's the problem.
No fans patient, man. Like, I'm sure.
I would say, John, I would say this. I think Detroit Lions fans had it worse than Panther fans. I think Cleveland Browns fans had it worse than Panther fans. We got to look at where people are in poverty for years. We ain't talking about just 7-year span. We're talking about years.
That's a good point, Doug. I'm sorry. That's a really good point. Bro, and look, and they fan, man, who knew, man? Who knew? Bro, that playoff, not this year's, but last year's when they played Tampa, I remember because that was the first time we had seen the Detroit Lions play in that stadium.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? On Ford Field. Bro, beautiful atmosphere. I'm like,
I even go deeper than that. When you look at it, they gave Dan Campbell so much hell his first year, they wanted him fired.
Yeah, they really did. They did.
The second year, even though that they won 6 straight and they knocked out their divisional foe and making the playoffs, they still wanted him fired.
Yeah.
Year 3, you make it to the NFC Championship game and blow everybody by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost that game and said he lost that game. Last year, I understand what happened, but people are not looking at how many injuries they had on that defense. The reason why they lost that game. Yes, Jared Goff had a bad game.
I'm sorry.
But what'd you see? So somebody said something in the comment?
Man, talking about Cardinals been on the food stamp list since the 30s.
Hey, Mr. Honky Dory gonna throw one out there for you, and I promise you it's gonna be a good one. I promise you it's gonna be a good one.
Oh my God.
But no, man, like I said, we got to be patient. We had to be patient. But I think the patience is running thin, but I do see the light at the tunnel with this particular coaching staff. And with that, we can go ahead and transition into what you want to talk about. BY9 takeover, man.
Avengers, let's go.
So it's a couple of things. I was gonna post the video, but I said we're gonna talk about it. Closing out the regular season, trending up, and I listened to his last interview. I think it was on CBS Sports. I can't think of the analyst that he spoke with. It was a young lady. I think it was about a week or so ago. But he talked about closing out the season, trending up, turnover free the last 3 games, consistency and continuity, and mindset taking it to the next level. Even there were tweets coming out that Dave Canales said where people said they want to see it. He said that Edsel and Bryce Young have been in the building and their eyes look different. Only thing I don't like about that is because now you're putting words on paper where people are saying, oh, they don't look different. Here come in OTAs or minicamp or a training camp. You said that they're going to look different, Dave. And I wish Dave would have kept that close to chest. But you see a different aura. Everybody's been talking about this aura around Bryce. Bryce looks different. I mean, he's out more. Everybody did the same thing. This is the only thing I hope and pray not. Same thing CJ Stroud did after his rookie year. What did he do? He went on this tour and went out.
Hey, but look, it's a little bit different, but go ahead. But nah, he was talking to everybody with a mic.
He was doing the same thing. But the one thing I love about Bryce, and again, I'm going to pull it back up and I'm going to hand it off to you, John. He closed out the season trending up. And I think the graphic, I forgot, I think it was 4 other quarterbacks with Bryce that had 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and I forgot it was the passer rating for the last 3 to 4 games, and it had not been done for a while since Bryce did it. I understand people say, duh, that's a small sample size. Hey, I'm just saying what the tape and what the interview said. Turnover free. One thing people said Bryce had a big problem with was turn the ball over. He went turnover free the last 3 games. Consistency and continuity. You bring back his offensive line that helps him. Then you add another weapon in Rico Dowd that can be a better pass catching running back. And then you bring Adam Thielen back, his short-handed wide receiver. And he said his mindset is ready for the season to start right now. So for me, I think the BY9 takeover is in full effect, and the season's not even here yet.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sir. You got the floor. You got the floor.
Remember how Skip used to be? Tell me when it's my turn. No. All right. Hey, Lo, if you still out there, cue up the Ethan. Look, because I seen Lo dropping the Ethan. I was like, that's my man. Like, we think alike. All right. It was a video. It was Super Bowl week. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody going around, doing the media stuff or whatever. And it was so much good content that came out Super Bowl week. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of Panther legends. We had that whole situation where, Luke and Cam and Ron and, Greg was all sitting down talking. And, it was just a really cool atmosphere. And then we had the John Gruden clip. You know what I'm saying? I did a video on, I think a few other people, did a video on or whatever.
Yep.
Right. Talking about, having his right foot back as opposed to the other, coming out of the shotgun, which at the end of it all, Gruden was like, hey, man, I'm starting to believe you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you convincing me, right? Which is important. Sometimes, like, look, and I love what he said, no wasted movement, right? So he had to get comfortable with himself, but I'll go a little bit further than that in a second. But it was one little clip, Doug. It was this little commercial, and it wasn't but like 2 seconds long, and I think they shared it on like the NFLPA. And they showed Bryce Young with a flannel on. And
that was when he was playing Sacramento.
Doug.
Well, when he went to Sacramento Kings game.
Right. But they showed him like this wasn't like him at the game. This was like a little promo commercial.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And my man had the flannel on. And if you know anything about Cali, LA culture, and he had that flannel button all the way to the top button, bro. I'm gonna tell you what that said to me, because sometimes people say stuff without saying it. You know what I'm saying? And Doug, look, I'm a man of faith, but sometimes I get outside myself. So there's gonna be one of those moments where I'm gonna have to apologize real quick to the people watching, because sometimes I do be dropping words that I'm probably not supposed to say. But you know what that told me, Doug? Let me tell you what that told me. It's up for you niggas this year. That's what that told me.
Yeah.
On some Debo stuff.
Yeah.
Flannel all the way up, buttoned up. I'm on my Cali stuff. I'm telling you, I'm about to wreck the league this year. That's what it read to me. You know what I'm saying? Confidence on another level. Like, when I saw that, I was like, yo, this little dude, because I had posted that, and a couple people was like, oh, man, I peeped. I'm like, bro, flannel all the way to the top? You know what time it is with that. With the khakis and the Converses. You know what time it is. Because he knew, we saw it at the end of the year. It ain't like it's like he doing that to try to come out and make a statement. He made the statement. 5 tuds at the end of the year.
Facts.
Took him to the wire.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So in my head, I'm like, yo, you already know what time it is. So if his running mates get out there and they developed as well, oh my gosh. Doug, I saw somebody, I think Dunk said today, we hadn't had a 4,000-yard passer since Cam did it in 2011 or 2012. No, 11. Yeah, my bad. As a rook. Might change this year.
Yeah.
Might change this year.
I would say this, and this is true. You just look at Icky. I'm going to use Icky. I know they play 2 different positions. The second year for a player coming in the league is hard. The third year is when you see their real true potential, regardless of what position they play. What year are we going in Bryce Young?
3.
Okay.
Hey, Eternal, man, you a fan or a op? I understand. Look, like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Hey, look, with a 3-game rook, I get it. He also got into a shootout with Pat, who was in the Super Bowl. He also got into a shootout and should have won the game that he played. Look, if all things would have came together, it's a chance that he might have had an opportunity to go into the playoffs and get into a shootout with one of them dudes. Because we wasn't far off. If you win those games that we should have won, Kansas City, we should have won. You know what I'm saying? We should have won the Eagles game, right? Now you're looking at a whole different situation, right? So, hey, look, you know me. I'm gonna be team this until it's not. Until they change it, right? But like I said before, if he and Twan know this because I said it to him, if he's still here. If he bombs, then guess what? He bombed. And I was dead, and I was dead wrong.
Yep. You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
But if he don't, for those who have badgered me for all these years, I'm gonna be insufferable on this app they call YouTube. I'm gonna be insufferable. Excuse me. So just get used to it.
Let me see what we got next. So go ahead and rub them fingers together. John, you ready to go ahead and get into this mock drive 5.0?
Get to it.
Hey, I appreciate everybody pulling up, man. It has been a great live from the super chats. We will shout out everybody. We will shout out our members to close it out. We'll also let you guys know next week is a big members only week. Shout out Miss Honky Dory giving out those 20 What's Up Doug Effect memberships. We will give you the details on that, but we're gonna go ahead and get into our mock drive 5.0. Let me go ahead and cue.
Dang, I done went underwater in this thing, boy. My camera done went out of focus.
Let me see what we got. So it's this one. Share. All right, here we go. So everything's ready. Everything's ready to rock and roll. We're going to go ahead and enter the draft.
Bro, they wilding in the chat.
Let me go to my phone because I'm sure about to pull it up.
That last comment is crazy by Corbin. That is crazy.
All right. So the recap, I cannot believe this. Abdul Carter went number 1, which everybody's been saying Cam Ward. Cam Ward went 2nd to the Browns. Travis Hunter went 3rd. Mason Graham went 4th. Tet went 5. Tyler Warren went 6, which is shocking. I know how to say his name. Jadai Barron went 7. Now we're on the clock. So
the Jags and Ted.
Yeah. Yeah. So how we feeling? How we feeling? What you think about doing right now? Are we staying there? Are we trading? We've been telling everybody what we think we need. How we feeling?
I mean, you know, according to PFF, Malachi up there. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, don't look. I ain't no Malachi hater, man. Like I think Malachi can be really good, but again, with Nick, I would say this: Nick is potentially a generational pick, right? But to answer a question that we talked about earlier, when somebody said, like, would you take 199 over 385s? Sometimes positional fit is, you know, perfect. And so if Malachi clearly is going to be your open field, you know what I'm saying, kind of, you know, ball hawking safety. And you got Trayvon to fill the more inside box role. So, yeah, I mean, I would consider Malachi right here, you know.
Do you want to, or you want to look at the trade options? Are we taking Malachi?
I mean, we can look at the trade options, yeah.
All right, you can't see them, so I read them out. You got Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and I'm not gonna say the Jags. The Jags are the second round, but you got Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay, 17, 21, and 23.
I don't think I want to go any past 17, man. Like I really like the idea of staying above 20, you know, but it just, and who knows how this board is going to fall. But it looks like to me, most people were big on the trade with the Bengals. So let's do it. Let's see what let's offer up.
So we're going to do 17, 49. I know I'm not going to do 81 because they're not going to take that. We can do it and see what they do. Oh, shoot. Do we want to get greedy, or are we going to stay right there?
See if they'll throw us a third for next year. Probably not.
Nah. I'm okay with that.
I'm good with that, too.
Somebody said get a third. Oh, nah. Okay, so that's Miss Arky. I'm looking at the chat.
That give us 10, 11.
Here, I'm going to do this.
That's 11 picks.
Now. Look, we can do that. You want to try it?
Yeah, see if it works.
Bam.
Wow. Now, wait, before you press the button, who do you think they pick?
With the board right now?
I think it's going to be Will
Johnson. I'll do start. I was going to say a DB or DN. You want to see?
Let it rock.
All right.
Ashton Jeanty? Wow.
That's wild. And then they just got the running back from is it Brown is his name? So
and
that's wild.
Don't they still got what's the name? What's his face? Mixon?
No, Mixon's with the Texans.
Oh, he left. Okay.
But
no, what am I thinking? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Mixon's with the Texans. I'm thinking of something else. My bad.
So
okay, so that makes sense.
Shamir Stewart went to the Falcons. Your boy Donovan went to the Cowboys, and I like that. Will Johnson went to 49ers, and Will Campbell went to the Saints.
Now, this is where I probably would make the decision to go Walker. But is Nick still on the board?
Nick who?
Emmenward.
Emmenward. Let's see.
Gosh, if he is, PFF has him ranked this low?
Correct. Let's only go to safety. Yep.
They got freaking what?
And they just updated this on April the 6th. Just updated this April 6th. So we're good. I mean,
bro, he might be there at 46, man.
Correct.
He really might.
Walker.
Me too.
All right. So before we do that, we can trade up from 49. Are we staying at 49 or we're trading up from 49? And we can package to get up in the 30s.
I'm 100% trading up. And the reason is because, I mean, shoot, you give me 5 good picks in this draft, 5 solid picks in this draft, and it changes this entire team. Okay.
So do you want to go 35? Or you want to go like what range, and I'll tell you what's the team.
Can we get closer to 32, 31, 32?
So they had the Tennessee Titans offering us at 35. You willing to take 35?
I'll move from 39 to 35, yeah. What are you giving? What else are you giving, though? Let's see.
So 35, we're going to give them 49 and 81. And it's a clear deal. You can move up. Or that's too rich. Go
111. Yeah,
okay.
let's do 111. Keep that 81.
It gives you 53%. You want to try it?
Let's try it.
All right. So we got it. So we still got pick number 17, but we moved up from 49 to 35.
I like this.
All right. So let's go ahead and get Jalen Walker. Now you're at pick number 35.
All right. Let's see. Go up. Let me see who was taken so far.
Oh, taken.
Yeah. Burden's gone. Skirting's gone.
Yep. Stark went to the Chargers. Damn. Walter Nolan went to Denver. Mikael Williams went to Tampa.
What's the defensive tackle kid from Toledo? Is he on the board still?
No, he just got taken. Darius Alexander.
Gosh, dog. And Shador went right after that.
Yep.
Let's see. This is probably where I would go to safety. If Watts is on the board, I'm probably taking
I want him. That's my boy right there.
Yeah, take Xavier Watts.
Okay. All right, now we're at 57. So recap, at 17, we traded with Cincinnati, got Jalen Walker. Then you went and got your safety goal with Trey Moore. You traded up from 47 to 35. You got 47 from the Cincinnati Bengals, and you got pick 35. So
now this is where I would look to see. Do me a favor and go to corner real quick. I just want to look at something just to see if it's there.
Okay.
Scroll down a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit more. A little bit. Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay. Let me spell something out real quick. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case, right? But you've got Mike Jack, who was re-signed. You got JC, who was signed. And I know they grabbed. I can't remember the kid's name. There's another corner that we got. Help me out. Didn't we grab a corner in free agency?
Ty Smith-Wade.
Yes. No. Shot Smith-Wade we drafted last year out of Washington. But Washington
we didn't bring any other corners.
Okay. So I know this would be a reach right here, so I'm not going to do this at this moment, but I really, 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 really like Kobe Bryant, right? I like Melo Dotson too, to be honest with you. But
I met both of those boys, and you can still get them later in the round.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that when you look at what someone like Cooper DeJean did, who could make an argument to be eventually an outside corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why not come and thrive at a nickel spot? Especially when you're going to get a ton of work. It's not like you're going to be sitting on, you're going to be benched, the whole game, because like I said, the way that defenses, are playing now, because to offset for the 5 or 4 wide receiver in the spread offenses, you got to have a nickel corner on the field,
correct.
And a lot of times. So to me, I'm bringing in one of these super athletic freaks at this, that could be an outside to play that position, because it would just be, to me, it'd just be a win for them. And then develops them into either sticking with that same spot, or eventually replacing somebody that like a Mike Jack that is on the outside. But it doesn't necessarily have to be right here.
What you think about wide receiver? Because
that's what I was about to say next. If Jalen's still on the board, then I'm probably going Jalen.
I'll go Jalen here. Yeah. Even though, because again, you don't want all these wide receivers, and this is a person I'm surprised his stock has went through the roof. It's Kyle Williams.
I like him.
I like him too.
I think I would prefer Jalen Noel right here, but I do like
correct. I'm gonna go Jalen Noel because of the top 30 visit.
Right.
So we got that. I'm thinking this as well. And the reason why I say this is because this goes into the effect of this is being Taylor Moton's last year.
Mm-hmm.
Make a strength.
Yeah.
I'll pull up his metrics for everybody. 6'6", 330. A freak of nature. A huge human being. A huge human being, man. And like I said, the first thing they hear, it says bring a Lauren size length to the tackle position. Also, to let you guys see, he played left tackle. I know a lot of people have been saying move Icky to right tackle and then drafting somebody at left tackle. You have the opportunity to do that right here.
Only thing I'll say is this. Go back to his intangibles again, where you were the first look.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that but his naturally high-waisted build impacts his leverage and may inhibit him from keeping NFL rushers in front of him. When I see that, that is something that to me would have to be developed and coached, because that was Right, because one of the things that was really one of Mike Jack's biggest problems, Michael Jordan, excuse me,
Correct.
On the offensive line, just really tall, really rangy. But the problem with him was that he could not keep people in front of him, right? So he couldn't win with a lot of leverage. So
that's right here. Has good eyes and stunts and twists, but can struggle to stay in front of rushers when they get across his face on one-on-ones.
Right. So I'm not against this because I do think that one thing you're going to have to do consistently, you're going to have to develop like offensive linemen like crazy for this style of quarterback, right? And we saw the Saints do that for years with Drew. So I'm not against this pick. Now, if you could argue that maybe there's a different guy that you would pick here that would be a better fit at tackle or guard, then I would say, okay, maybe go in that direction. But considering the things that you've shown me, and, you know, like I am a big proponent of development, I'm not against this. So, yeah, I'm cool with it.
All right, bet. So let's go ahead into a recap. And Cat Williams is still there. And you got RJ Harvey, who we brought in for a visit as well. But you got your outside linebacker / DN and Jalen Walker. Safety is Xavier Watts, excuse me. Not Xavier Woods. Lord Jesus, no. Jalen Noel, wide receiver out of Iowa State. Then you got your future offensive tackle and Ursi right there. So,
man, T. Thompson said, "Why trade up, man? You see how many picks we got left, bro." I would have argued trading up twice.
So, are you taking a running back here and RG Harvey, or do you want to go look at your corners? Let's see what your corners are looking like.
This is where I probably would take a corner. Go ahead and give me Kobe.
You want to jump that early because you still can get him at 114.
You think so?
I think so. No,
bet on it. All right, bet on it then. In that case, I mean, if you believe in Kyle Williams the way you do, I don't mind double dipping at wide receiver. But
I would do running back though, because again, RJ Harvey is very sneaky. And one thing that I see people look at that height, but that weight, he has great balance. Like he's like a bowling ball. When I say bowling ball, a bowling ball. And when we had our bowling ball right there, who was one person that we had that was a bowling ball that surprised a lot of people? And that was Tolbert.
Yeah.
We really have not had a Tolbert type of running back here.
I mean, it surprised people who didn't really watch him, but I mean, Tolbert was an extension of what he already was. Actually, I could argue that he was, you know, the years that he had with us paled in comparison to what he was doing out there in San Diego.
Somebody, I'm reading the chat too. Go ahead. I'm reading the chat. They said, look,
you good?
I think Swanson's gone. Yeah, he is. But Jordan Phillips isn't a bad pick either. Like I said, I was able to see him in person, and him and Elijah Roberts are going to get some money. Elijah Roberts are going to get some money. They're going to get some money.
Josh Farmer might be fam, man. I'm like, what's up? You don't meet too many black dudes with the last name Farmer, so I'm like, he might be Cuzzo.
So what we thinking here?
RJ, go RJ Harvey. You sold me.
Okay. Kobe better be there. If he's not, I'm gonna be pissing myself.
That's all right. Ooh, Jackson Dart went 80.
But Mello Dotson's there.
Yeah, I knew they was gonna draft Kobe, man. Kobe, he good.
Here, let me see where he went. So he went 109.
For the Bills, they traded up to get him. Oh no, okay, that was a pick that they already had.
Pick, yep.
Yeah. All right.
And then look right here. Ashton Galati went right here to the Tennessee Titans.
And then went right after him.
Yep.
Dudes from your slides. Yep.
So let's go ahead and get Mello Dotson.
Yep.
So now I know people are gonna say you guys need interior D linemen. So let's look at interior D linemen.
RJ Mickens. Okay.
Safety. You want to look at him real quick?
Nah, we filled that need. So
okay. So let's do. Hold on. Let me do tight end, interior D lineman. We need a linebacker too. I am not drafting Barry Carter.
Why?
You like him?
I'm a Clemson fan.
Lord Jesus.
Okay, let me spell this out because I've had to do this a few times.
Go ahead.
I have been a Tar Heel fan my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to South Carolina in 2014 in Clemson's heyday. Mm-hmm. So am I a true Clemson fan? No, because I'm a band, and I'll say this proudly. I'm a bandwagon Clemson fan. Like I still root for. Do I root for North Carolina football? Never have. But everything else, yes, Carolina. But college football, yeah, I like Clemson. So I'm a bandwagon.
Dang, so he's going up the boards now.
Who's that?
Q Robinson.
Who was that running back you were telling me about? You were crazy about. Yeah. Where's he at?
He's still on the board. Todd's still on the board. He's still on the board.
Yeah, we can't take too well.
He's still on the board. That's my guy. Like I said. Let me see. Yep. And guess who the freak got him? Lord Jesus, I hope that don't happen.
Who?
The Falcons got Q Robinson in the 4th round.
Do y'all? Okay, so let me ask you, and maybe the chat can answer this as well. There was a time when everybody was going crazy over Tez. Like, what changed? Like, over Jalen Noel. Like, what changed? Was it the combine?
For who?
Tez Johnson.
It was the combine, and then his metrics when he was at the Shrine, they didn't know he was that small. Yeah, they didn't know he was that small. Let me look at safeties. Malachi Moore is a good safety who I think a lot of people are sleeping on too, but we can wait to get Malachi Moore as well.
Where would you go in this instant?
That's what I'm looking.
Because I'd probably go lineman right here. This is where I'm, really going to start stacking up offensive lineman. Now, I know some people are
arguing. Offensive lineman, you mean defensive lineman?
T. Thompson keep yelling at us in all caps that our draft suck.
Yep.
But
I mean, he's the one, but a lot of people are liking certain picks. So,
my question would be, so where would you go in this instant? Like, do you feel like we done enough on the edge?
Let me see what we got. No, we need another edge or interior D lineman. Ty Robinson isn't bad either. Taylor Batney, I've heard things about him too.
Hold on, go back. What's his win rate? Not bad.
Like I said, I'm starting to hear things about him.
Not bad for this level of pick.
Correct.
Typically, you want to be 19, 20-ish. That's like, but obviously if he was that, then he'd be up there, day 1 or 2, so.
Because you pick again in 6 picks. So do you want to go Tyler Batney and then hopefully Ty Robinson is around and that's storing up your defense and then you still got 3 picks at the back end?
Ask Thompson. T. Thompson said bad picks. Who you want, dog?
Yeah, who you
help
want?
Help us out, GM. We need the help.
Let's see. While he does that, let me look at corners again. Oh, we might have to get Quincy Riley because we brought him in for a visit.
Mm-hmm.
So I will keep that in mind as well. He didn't say anything.
What about O'Donnell Fortune?
I haven't watched a lot of film on him, so I'm not gonna lie about that. I have not.
Hey man, South Carolina connection. That's what they love, right?
Yeah, but like I said, I would choose Riley over Fortune because with the top 30 visit.
Do it.
No, not this early. I won't. I'll wait. But if T. Thompson don't say something, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that DN out of BYU. He didn't say nothing, so I'm gonna go. If he says something, we'll hopefully get the pick that he wants. He said, "Show Ty Robinson stats." 6'6", 310.
And who is this?
Ty. I can tell you got intrigued by that metric. Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. I already knew what you meant when you was like, hold on, what, Doug? Yeah. I like him playing in the Big 12. I like him.
Go down to where he what gap he was spending most of his
There
time.
you go, right there.
Big gap. That'd be your Turk rotation right there.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, then we can go ahead and get. Let's see. He's still there at 167 too. Quincy Riley.
Hey, do me a favor real quick. So we got 153, 163, 230. There ain't a mock draft that I've done that I ain't gonna take this guy, but I'm not gonna. Let's go to receivers real quick. I just want to see something. Scroll all the way to the bottom.
If you talking about them Colorado boys, I already know.
Okay. Now I know a lot of people. The LaJohntay Murray one is the one, but like to me, with as many picks as we have,
you talking about Tate Webster?
No,
you said LaJohntay
Murray. I said Murray. My bad. LaJohntay Webster. Yeah. That's the one that most people go to, right? That like as far as those two guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Kobe Hudson isn't bad either.
The Horn, though, man. Like I said,
Jimmy Horn, Florida boy.
Speed.
If we get Jimmy Horn, y'all come back to what's up, Doug. I got a treat for you. That's all I'm gonna say. I got a treat for you.
The speed is nuts. So, man,
here I'll do this. Did we get Riley already? Let's get Riley, and then in 163 we'll go get Jimmy.
Bet.
Only reason we're getting Riley is because he had a visit with Carolina.
Quinn Ewers is still in the draft.
he might get a free agent. The way this draft is going.
I can't imagine Quinn Ewers falling and not getting drafted. Like, I don't see that. I thought he went back to school. I guess I'm wrong.
All right, they probably give us an F for that, but at PFF be sure.
Man, I don't back here.
Then so we got in this and that. We didn't get a tight end. This is a guy I know CJ was very big on. Very big on. But let me read his word. Like to get drafted to pedigree up because he's the last in row. Y'all have referred him to stick. He must get quicker, stronger. No, need that then. Oh, nope. I'll take this one. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this guy out of Syracuse. A lot of people talking about this guy out of Syracuse. 6'5", 236. Receiving grade, elite 83. Contested catch 61%, drop rate mid, run block I love. That's one thing I know Tommy Tremble has to do a better job, and Javonte Sanders has to do a better job as his blocking. I would take this right now.
Run it. Alex K-Back said, y'all still going? I'm like, man, not for long, bro.
Nah, this is it right here.
I'm about to faint.
So obviously we already know they're gonna give us a D because like that it was a reach.
Jalen Walker's a reach.
Again, they need to update this. I actually love they gave us an A for our tackle. A B for Harvey, a B for Mello, a B for Batty, a D for Robinson, a B for Quincy. I knew that was gonna be an F and a C. We better come out with a B. Still finish with a B minus. Still with a B minus. And again, if you take this away and upgrade that to an A, which everybody in the NFL is saying, then you give this a higher grade from metrics and what Jimmy Horn Jr. has been able to do, you're looking at possibly a B+. Chat, tell us what you guys think how that draft went right there, man.
I know somebody gonna be like, hey, that was trash.
God, we got 62 freaking comments. Man, I appreciate that. Definitely, like I said, go ahead and tell us what you guys give us with that draft. We're gonna let it run for a little bit, but we appreciate John from One Carolina joining us tonight, man.
Yes,
it has been fun live. We'll go ahead and shout out all our super chats for tonight while we wait for grades. Uncle Red went ahead and sent us a $10 super chat, Mr. Hunky Dory. Eternal 252. Alex joined the membership over here. What's up, Doug? King Domo. Twan Don with a 704 Charlotte Bound show. Miss Honky Dory again. Then Miss Honky Dory gifted 20 memberships tonight. Again, we appreciate him showing that major love tonight. Then Eternal 25 again sent us another super chat. Let's see. Nobody really said anything. They said, I cannot complain because we need, if not fill this year, they are future hole fillers. Okay. Like that. I like that.
Future hole fillers is crazy.
I told you, Mr. Honky Dory be on it, man. Hey, so real quick, so we get John out of here. Again, appreciate Mr. Honky Dory give you guys those memberships. We will have our members giveaway on our live next week on the 17th when we have Jared Feinberg joining us. So again, throughout that live, we're gonna let you guys know we're gonna only do members only when it's time for us close to the end. And if you're not a member, you're not going to be able to get that giveaway right there that we're going to have. Also, after the draft, we have Keep Her and Ben joining us on April 30th. Also, next week for our members, we will have 3 exclusive videos just towards you guys. 2 will possibly go to the public over the weekend, but you'll have first dibs on 3 videos next week for our members only. So we appreciate everybody that has joined us tonight. John, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at, man.
Man, Doug, this has been an honor, man. I always appreciate our conversations. You can find me at One Carolina. That's everywhere. ONE Carolina.
Yes, sir, man. Like I said, this is not going to be the only time again. We appreciate everybody that has collabed with us in 2025. We're hitting it all gas, no brakes. We got some more like you guys just seen. We got a couple people from Twitter, a couple people from Twitter and YouTube, but in May, it's going to be up and at it as well, man. But we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I appreciate John again. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. If you're watching the replay, definitely hit John's link in the description. And again, if you are new, like, subscribe, comment for us, man. Everybody take care. Everybody stay safe. The draft is 14 days away. Support all the Panther content creators that are going live. We will not be live this upcoming year's draft. We will be at Texas Live with a couple of, like we said, Bland from Twitter. He asked, what was I doing? We're going to be at Texas Live. We may have a little video for you guys so you guys can see us out there. But we appreciate everybody showing up tonight. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe. Peace.